any housing challenges and barriers to development, it also has opportunities to address them, namely the provision of incentives for housing production, blah, blah, blah. Is that good?
Yeah.
Okay. For the chart below, I have this little note, many of which were cited on land provided by the town. I don't think there's enough credit in the plan that shows how much land we've given for affordable housing.
All right.
And then in this chart, I wanted to have them note not only the funds that we provided for these developments, but also that it's on town-owned land.
Okay.
So I have that, the Habitat for Humanity, you know, the LeClaire
Claire
Village. Also, on page 66, the affordable, like, I wanted them to note that there was $300,000 that the trust provided to LeClaire Village. It kind of got lost in here. There was the land, the $300,000 from the trust, and the $500,000 from the Community Preservation Fund. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay, and there's a little bit of a green line on page 67 and another red line, land provided by the town. That good?
Yeah.
Any other comments on 66, 67?
No. 68.
68. I think I have to keep that, I have to undo that red line. I have to get rid of that. That has to stay. That's like a standard thing that they put in housing production.
All right.
It's
So all
not.
those X's are coming out.
Yeah, all those X's are coming out. Any other comments on 68?
Nope.
Okay. 69, there's a green line, just some grammar that we'd like to fix. And above, 1A, would be collaborating with the Mashpee Wampanoag tribe to produce affordable housing units. Add that in.
Yeah.
Not good?
I have a question.
Yep.
I don't understand how 40B helps affordable housing. I have 100 houses. I gotta give 10 houses affordable.
Yeah.
But that makes the town get 90 more houses.
Right.
That we still have to meet that 90 more houses. We're not gaining anything
Yep.
by the 40B.
You're
Good
not
point,
wrong.
good point.
You're not wrong, but there are towns and cities that have over 10%.
That's what we, okay, that's my next thing. I said,
There are.
we should get more out of them, so we kind of balance what they put out.
Yes, I see. So if we have inclusionary zoning, we should require 15 or 20 or 30% affordable housing.
We're not limited to 10%.
No, we are not limited.
That would be one way to get some.
So that's a zoning, so we want to make sure that under the zoning section on page 72, that we put inclusionary zoning with more than 10% requirement of deed restricted affordable units. I mean, we have to bring that to town meeting, and we have to draft that bylaw, but that's what we'll do. We'll,
Read the, say the sentence again.
so under this.
I see.
Yeah, inclusionary zoning, right? Mm-hmm. With more than 10% requirement of deed restricted affordable units.
Yep.
So you could say, oh, if you create 100 units, you have to give us 15 units or 20 units, so that we catch up.
What do other towns have? Do you know?
Most have 10%, Yarmouth has 20,
20.
because I work there.
Is Yarmouth the highest?
Probably. It's not the only place that has 20% for inclusionary zoning, but it is one of the highest.
All right, my other question is, I don't understand workforce and affordable. Okay, now is workforce counted as affordable? 'Cause
No.
it's- So that could be priced anywhere?
Correct. Well, so there is no definition of workforce housing, so we can put that in here. under affordable housing development and action step, right? We can
Yeah.
add one, define workforce housing.
Well, a price limit though, shouldn't it be like,
So usually what happens is affordable housing is 80%, it
Right.
serves people at 80% of area median income or below. The state has a workforce program through Mass Housing Partnership, which is very little funding. But their income limit is between 60% AMI and 120% AMI. Because typically, right, when you're on Social Security or some type of disability payment, you are at 30% AMI, right? If you have two adults in your household, you get to 60% AMI. So you can see, they figure anybody that's earning over 60% of AMI, somebody is working in the household.
yeah,
But then you have to have kind of an upper limit. You know, we could define it differently, but the state defines it as between 60% and 120%.
Why not have the chart in here so people understand that?
Okay. Okay.
good idea.
So do you guys like the 60% to 120% or
Recording in
150%
progress.
or 200%?
Go from the lowest to the highest. This, which is 30%?
No, if you look at 30%, a household at 30% area median income, in theory, they're really not working. Because that's the limit, like when you retire and you're on Social Security, you're kind of at 30% AMI.
But,
So you want to get to
Yes.
above,
Yeah.
you want to get past 60%, but you want to, do you want to explore up to 200% AMI? Do you
yeah,
want to
because I'm
explore?
thinking, you can have a two couple, they're on Social Security, but they both have retirement. So the income is gonna be a lot higher.
Well, not everybody, some people just live on Social
I
Security.
know, but
Right.
I'm trying to get more people into the market. I like to see it, you know.
Okay. So I'm just gonna take a pause here. Hi, this is Mary Wagon, Chair of the Mashpee Planning Board, and today is March 5th, and we're having our meeting today in the McCoy Room of Town Hall. And I apologize, we had some technical issues in the beginning, so we couldn't broadcast this from the beginning of the meeting, which was about 5:35. So thank you for joining us, and we are discussing the housing production plan. Thank you. Go ahead. So do you think we should go up to 120% AMI, 150?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know what those numbers are.
Okay,
Yeah, we should probably see what they translate to as in terms of salary, like a dollar value.
What
for
would the salary be for, and you'd be talking about a couple and a child or two
yeah,
children?
it varies by,
Yeah, yeah.
okay. All right, and then, let's just say exploring a definition of 60% AMI to 150%
Yeah,
AMI, and we can make that decision later.
Yeah, that's good. Where's Rob? He's not on.
He has access now,
Does he know about it though?
yes,
All right.
yes. All right, anything else, Dennis?
No?
Okay, so that would be affordable housing development. Then I have that, the Mashpee Commons Chapter 40B, I just have a little note. If it's all rental housing, it would get us to our 10% goal in town, which is an incredible thing when you think about that. If it's a mix of homeownership and rental, then the homeownership units, only the affordable homes go on. If it's all rental, it's both
Okay.
the affordable and the market rate.
Where
So
are you reading that? What page?
69,
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, right there, all right.
okay? So that's a little correction, and then just another grammatical correction. Okay, good with page 69?
Yep.
Okay. Page 70, I just note, that when we're looking at these specific sites, it talks about the VFW site on Route 28. We need to start giving an address for that.
Yep.
Okay, anything else on 70, page 70? Okay, page 71, there's two grammatical corrections. Anything else on 71?
Two grammatical corrections?
They're green lined.
I see that. Oh, the words?
Yeah. Okay. And then page 72, I have some new stuff to introduce. So this is under the category of, I think still, affordable housing development. Okay. So I went to, as you know, I've been going to the Affordable Housing Committee meetings. And they were invited to come. It was a little bit of a short notice for them to be here. But under number 6, for page 72, they wanted to add, create a program to incentivize year-round rental housing versus seasonal housing and Airbnbs. Okay? Okay, the next one, they want to add to the plan, expand the town's effort to use town-owned land for affordable housing production. Okay. The next one, 6C, would be revamp our program with Habitat for Humanity.
All right.
We haven't done a habitat development in a while.
Yeah, wow.
Should I use revamp or should I use restart?
Well, has it stopped?
Yeah. Restart.
Restart.
Where are you inserting that? I think I just lost it.
On page 72, under housing production, right, it ends in number 6.
Yep.
Right? So when I went to the Affordable Housing Committee, they gave me some ideas, and I think they're gonna fit in here. One is create programs to incentivize year-round rental housing, you know, to compete with the seasonal use of homes, right? B, expand the town's effort to use town-owned land for affordable housing.
I've been asking that for a while.
Yes, right, yeah. 6C, restart our program with Habitat for Humanity. And 6D, develop a new relationship with groups such as Operation Tiny Homes.
Wow, there's a lot of resistance for that.
Well, that was Paula Peter's idea, and I think she could convince the town to do it. She was very passionate about it. She said it was a great, she saw it as a real big potential.
Are you talking about like a cluster development?
Yes, and she's thinking of something that's town-owned land, right? Town-owned land that we do this on.
There's some very nice-looking tiny houses.
Yep.
But they wouldn't be colonial houses. They're more modern.
They're going to be allowed under the building code, I think, starting now, if not now, sometime this year. Tiny homes will be allowed in the Massachusetts Building Code.
Okay.
And she says there's a need for it in town. So we should explore that. She does, I don't think she wants to zone it for the whole town. I think she wants to
Pick the area.
get town-owned land or something that needs to be redeveloped and do like a pilot program, see if it works. Okay?
Town-owned land on the sewer service area?
Yeah, I imagine. Yeah.
Okay.
So when I asked that before, that's what they said, oh, you can't do that unless it's sewered. I said, we have a lot of town land that people don't use.
Yep.
We could put houses there right in the front of them.
Yep.
And they all, every time I brought it up, they said we couldn't do it. 'cause,
Yep.
you know,
Where are you talking about, Dennis?
All over town,
All over town, yeah.
not just one place. You know, even on 130, just take out 1, 2 acres, you can put up 8, 9 homes,
Yep.
you know?
Or, let's say that VFW site, still don't know the address of it, but let's say that whole area was done as a campus, right, for affordable housing. Part of that could be a cluster of like 10 tiny homes. Do you know what I mean? Maybe an apartment building, maybe
That's
some
awful, yeah.
habitat homes, you know what I mean?
There's a lot of places, it's just do it, just stop
Yeah.
talking about it, going
Yeah.
to meetings and stuff, and
Stop talking about it.
Right, and we don't have to have a site with 300 units on it, you know what I mean? We can have diversity in the type of housing that's there, and
We should, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, we can, we should.
we should. We should.
If you watch any YouTube things about the housing across America, everybody is in bad shape
Yep.
about housing. And we don't want to be like East Hampton, where you have to import people to do work for you. I mean,
yeah.
services are going to go down if we don't
Yep.
fix
We,
this.
we want people to,
Yeah.
to live locally that work here.
Right.
You know, we do. I remember somebody told me that was the solution to affordable housing, was to bus workers in every day. And I kept my mouth shut, but my stomach turned. I was like, that's awful. That's awful. So, all right. Onward. I'm on page 73. Okay, so I'm adding in here again, so this started on page 72, it's redlined, okay. So this is a big change. Number 7, explore zoning mechanisms for increasing options for housing, for year-round deed-restricted affordable housing and workforce housing choice.
And workforce housing component,
Well, it originally said explore zoning mechanisms for increasing options for housing choice. But that really rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. I think we should introduce in there that these would be deed-restricted, affordable, and workforce housing,
right?
okay?
I thought you said we couldn't de-restrict workforce housing.
Oh, I think you can. If you have town-owned land, it won't go on the subsidized housing inventory.
All right.
But if you have town-owned land, and you say to the developer, okay, we'll give you this land, but on this, X amount of the units that you build have to be workforce
And
units,
deed-restricted.
and it has to be deed restricted in perpetuity. It's for the local workforce.
Now, on these deed restrict, I don't know, I did this, I could de-restrict the home. I lived in it for 15 years. I put a new bathroom in, a new kitchen. Is there a price that, I bought it for 100,000, but I put 35,000 over like 10 years. Can I recoup that money?
So
Or no?
maintenance, so when you have an affordable home and you buy it, you get the deed restriction, you have to be income eligible and you get the home at a reduced price. You're responsible to maintain it. If the roof starts to leak, you have to fix the roof. Windows need new windows, there's wood rot, you're supposed to do that. Sometimes towns have programs to help you with that,
And
okay?
one's maintenance and one's improvements, they're two different things. right?
If you put on a bedroom, that's an improvement, your resale price goes up. You put on a garage or a pool, those are called luxury
Yeah,
items.
right.
A
You-
garage is a
Okay,
luxury item.
My other question is, I bought
But
the,
can I finish
All
that
right.
thought? The state will never allow you to lose money, though.
All right.
When you go to sell it, you will never lose money.
what I was gonna ask is,
You're ever going to make money?
You're not gonna make as much money as if you
no,
had a
I
market
bought my
rate.
house for 300,000,
Mm-hmm.
10 years ago, now it's worth 700,000. So, do I keep that 400,000?
The resale price of the affordable home goes up as the median income
Right.
on the Cape goes up. So every year, HUD publishes the median, the area median income. And they used to go up every year like 3%. Now they're going up like 5% in our area, I think because of COVID, because I think more people have moved down here, that they're working in a different market, so they're bringing their higher wages here. So our area median income has gone up. But the sale price of the affordable home is set with respect to that area median income. Because the household that buys it can only buy it for like 30% of their income.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So there's
yeah.
this complicated formula that you use
What if
to
the
get there.
owner qualifies for a low cost because they were not making very much money? Say they're at 60% or whatever, AMI, and then a windfall occurs or something and they've got income, so they inherit money or they get a good job, what happens?
Point in time, when they apply to buy the unit, if there's a lottery at the time of the lottery, and when they buy the unit, they have to be income eligible.
Okay, they're eligible.
If 2 years later, their household, changes, right? An additional working adult comes in, they're over income, it doesn't matter, it was when they
At
bought
the
it.
moment of purchase.
Yeah.
That's good.
Most affordable rental housing is different. They certify you every year as to your income. Rental housing, they do the annual monitoring, but the home ownership, nope, it's.
So you have to leave if you're over that number in a rental?
In some developments, you are charged a much higher rent if you become over income.
Oh,
So you may have the choice to pay higher rent or
Yes.
leave.
Or move.
But people usually feel that that's the increase in rent is too high for them, so they try to find something else.
Okay.
So,
Do they monitor that by requiring you to submit tax returns annually?
yes, so these bigger complexes like Leclerc Village, everybody is, and Mashpee Village, everybody submits an income packet every year. They get, reviewed every year, maybe every 2 years.
So is their turnover substantial?
I don't think so. Usually with high quality, I think we're gonna find with the, and I don't know Mashpee Village that much, but if you have, the units at Leclerc Village are such high quality, I have a feeling that the people that move in there are gonna stay.
they stay there for a long time.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, if management isn't good and things don't get repaired, yes, people will try to leave, but. All right, so that would take, on page 72, that would take item 7 back to affordable housing. And it would have, it would have to have adequate wastewater and stormwater infrastructure. So we want to increase the opportunities for different types of housing, but we want to make sure it's for the affordable, the workforce housing, on adequate wastewater infrastructure and stormwater infrastructure.
So, when you say that, it's like a catch-22. If say if I live in part of Mashpee, that's not gonna get sewered. I can't put affordable housing up there because it's not, that's kind of limited when you say it's gonna be sewered.
So the zoning, where are you going to put your new zoning for affordable housing? Right?
Yeah.
Because we're a flow-neutral community, we have to put it in areas that are sewered.
So that kind of limits it then a great deal.
It does, unless, let's say there is an active wastewater, a private wastewater treatment facility, and we make a deal. We'll use our affordable housing money to come in, take over the operation and increase it so that, your neighborhood is connected and the affordable housing neighborhood is connected. There are, sometimes a development will be big enough to have its own wastewater treatment facility. I don't know.
But when you start putting that in, then the affordable housing kind of goes out the window.
We are gonna need to really be clever about this.
Sure we are, because we put
Yeah.
obstacles. Every 10 feet we go, we put a 5-foot obstacle. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, you can't put affordable housing here, we got land here, because it's never gonna get sewered. and the developer's not gonna put a.
Well,
treatment
this
plant
is
in.
just for like zoning. Where would you rezone in town for affordable housing?
That's on the sewer line.
That's on sewer line, on needs neutral flow, the neutral
So
flow.
we've got land behind town hall,
A lot of land, I
a
think.
lot of land
6
behind,
acres.
right? It's gonna be on the sewer line.
How many acres are back there, do you know?
I thought it was more than 6, but,
Well, behind the, you know, the apartment houses, he has 6 acres there.
yeah, and down the street, you have
Yeah.
you have multifamily housing that is in need of a lot of work, right?
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Right? So that's on the sewer line. So you might want to think about doing an overlay in this area.
Okay, so we have some property that we can start.
There is some, yeah, and that property down the street might need some zoning relief to get it developed.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you would require it to look nice with good architectural standards and good site design, you know, push anything with height towards the rear, you know, excellent entranceway, landscaping, all of that.
Yeah.
And remember, we look at this every 5 years. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We look at this as at every, and hopefully we'll continue to do our clean water, our nitrogen management program, and we'll have more places. So what do you think, Dennis?
So I'm thinking, like you said, we look at it every 5 years. Should we have a schedule saying, this year we met 7 houses. The next year we met 8 houses. I don't want
Okay.
to come back 5 years from now and just change a few names or words, and we're still doing the same thing.
37, how
If
many
you-
have we built
If you
for the
look
first?
at my comments, and this packet is up on the desk if anybody wants it. These are the comments that the public did on the
Okay,
housing
yeah,
production plan. If you look at my comments, let's see if I can find them. I have a chart. And if you guys remember, I said this multiple times to the consultant and to the then town planner. Okay, so it's very faded, It's, from the back, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 pages back, and it looks like this. It's very faded, I'm sorry. But it's got a chart. It's got a chart every year. You know, like year 1, we had Leclerc Village,
Yeah.
39 units. Year 2, Old Barnstable Road and a private chapter 40B, 39 units. Year 2, guess maybe that's year 3. Mashpee Commons, a private, and plus a private chapter 40B. You know, you're supposed to plan out. We miss Leclerc Village, now it's so old.
All right, so there is some.
You're supposed to add that.
Yeah.
I don't know why they wouldn't do it, but we can add that.
So it's like showing it's really working, we're getting
Yeah,
some
okay,
progress.
so we're gonna add a production chart. And that, we're gonna put, not in this section, but in the section that talks about housing production, okay?
With that.
Affordable housing development on page 69,
Yeah.
put in production chart. You know, just ballpark, how many units
Yeah.
you're gonna put at 209, or when you're gonna get 106 Commercial Street going.
That way you can see, hey, we have to change this or do something else, 'cause
Okay.
we're not meeting certain goals, you know.
Okay. All right. All right, so I'm gonna leave 72 and go to page 73. Okay, so page 72 ends with potential options to consider include. Top of page 73, establishing conventional overlays or form-based code overlays districts in developed areas with suitable infrastructure that would allow townhouses or multifamily buildings, commonly identified as building types in the missing middle. And then I put in, which are deed restricted year-round affordable with affordable housing and workforce housing component. That would mean a sub-portion would be affordable and workforce. That sound good? Karen?
I don't know what the word component. It just
Means there would be a component of it, not every single unit in there would be
within
affordable or
affordable
workforce.
housing and some workforce housing.
Yep,
Okay, all right, like it.
Madam Chair, you don't have public comment, but, and I have to go, but
okay.
I just want to thank you all for doing this. This has been a long and complex, I've looked at my file from last year, so thank you. This is great.
So that was Lynn Barbie,
That's Lynn Barbie.
Surf Drive. So I appreciate that, Lynn, and we are going to have a 30-day comment period on this. This is all going to go back to the consultant, and we will have a 30-day comment period. You know, we might need a workshop with the Affordable Housing Committee.
Yep.
There, David Whedon is pulling that committee back together. The next bullet, so is that okay with you, that first bullet?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a word.
Okay, so the grammar's wrong.
No, I don't say it's wrong, but with an affordable workforce housing component, with some workforce housing.
Okay.
That tells the reader,
With some
All right.
affordable housing and workforce housing, period. Okay.
no, you said that affordable housing and some workforce housing.
But it would be some affordable housing
both.
and some.
Okay, well,
Some,
fine.
yeah. Allowing conversion of existing single-family homes to small multifamily homes by special permit without the loss of historic resources and in compliance with the town's flow-neutral bylaw. And then I say producing deed-restricted year-round housing with an affordable housing component. You want
That
to,
word again.
with,
it, I don't care.
with some
Get component. and
affordable housing units.
Say what that means, component, that sounds like
I use it all the time.
vague, kind of like
I thought it was,
highbrow word.
yes, I thought I was being fancy.
It
But
is
I will
fancy.
change it to with some affordable housing units. Okay? Do
Okay,
you want me to put workforce in there too?
You probably should.
yeah.
Okay. Hi, Amy. The next thing, amending the town's cluster development bylaw to allow additional residential uses beyond what is allowed in the underlying zoning. And so I struck the whole reference to the OSID. Go to e.g. duplexes, townhouses, mixed-use apartment buildings with a strong affordable housing component. So if you want to say with some affordable housing and workforce housing units. Okay. And then this would be new. It's really small. I apologize.
I can't read it.
I am so sorry. Explore a separate transfer of development rights or a flow transfer bylaw for deed-restricted year-round housing with an affordable housing and workforce housing component.
Well, I'll give you that one component.
Okay? So, you know, that whole thing about transfer of development rights. It's like, I've got this lot of land, it's on the sewer line, I've got this other land over here. Can I take the units that I could build over in this area that's not near infrastructure? Can I take all those units and plop them into, transfer those rights into the lot that's on the sewer line?
Get credit for that.
Yeah. That other lot is kept as open space. You might want to give a bonus of like ×2 the units or something like that.
It all depends on land, though.
Yes.
If the land's near a lake, you get more bonus. If it's
Yes.
near, you know, the road, you may get a certain bonus. That's all the OSID.
The whole OSID,
It is.
that's how it is. It's been,
We're not saying it, but that's what it is.
Does this happen in other towns on the Cape? This one right here?
no. Transfer of development rights is, people have difficulty wrapping their heads around it, but it's a good idea. It fits our planning goals, which is to put development on infrastructure and near places that are already developed and leaving other places undeveloped. So how do you convince the person that has the 3 acres that's not on a sewer line? How do you convince them not to use chapter 40B, right? You let them take their development rights and transfer them onto a different plot. I mean, it takes a lot of work, because now all of a sudden this person is supposed to own both lots. I mean, it takes working together with these developers and making a deal.
You know, we spent a year and a half on Mashpee Commons when this first come out.
Right.
They went along with it, all of a sudden, we thought we got it done. No, we're not gonna do that.
Never
And we're
used
not
it.
saying you have to have 20 acres.
That is someplace in here that we rewrite the OSID bylaw so that more places can use it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Okay, now,
People do that down in Seabury. They would just
Yeah,
find a lot and, well, just put an extra bedroom, that's what they were doing it for.
yeah.
number 8, conduct an analysis of residential parcels with inadequate land area or frontage to assess the potential for starter home / affordable home overlay zoning bylaw. Okay? Do you want to do with an affordable housing and workforce housing component? Or all units have to be deed restricted?
All units.
Where it is.
Okay. And all units to be deed restricted for year-round occupancy? Okay. Keep. All right. And then I added at the end, too.
Yeah, right there, yeah, right.
Number 9, encourage the redevelopment of underutilized commercial property to allow mixed-use development that meets design standards and includes affordable and mixed-income housing, with housing to be deed-restricted year-round, affordable, or workforce housing.
Right.
Okay. Number 10, consider reducing parking requirements, particularly for multifamily development, to reduce impervious surface and lower development costs with required deed-restricted year-round housing with an affordable and workforce component.
There's a lot of components on that page.
Okay, with some affordable housing and workforce housing, okay.
Mary must have spelled that in a spelling bee.
I'm gonna have nightmares about that word tonight, that's for sure. Okay. Okay, so these are some new ones. Explore zoning to create deed-restricted year-round housing linked to Mashpee businesses, including on-site employee housing. So that's one thing we didn't consider,
Right.
was that develop some zoning so that businesses can
That
create
top of the
housing.
shop?
We could decide that later. But do something so that employers can build housing for their employees.
Yeah.
Some type of zoning for that. Yeah, it could be top of the shop. So we'll put such as top of the shop. Is that okay?
Yeah.
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 Next one, explore a redevelopment bylaw for gray fields with poor wastewater treatment to produce deed-restricted year-round housing with some affordable housing and workforce housing. So that would be a redevelopment bylaw.
All right.
You know what property I'm thinking of, right down the street. Has to have its cesspools pumped like every other day there. It's disgusting. All right, next one. Study existing multifamily development and local density in Mashpee to allay concerns about different housing choices. So that would probably be better under housing production. it's a density study.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Where you go out and you take pictures of places that we know are multifamily. We have up to, I think we had up to 28% of our housing units are actually multifamily. Because Windchime, Southport, the condos, at Deer Crossing, Pheasant Run, Oak Hollow.
The ones on 28 there,
Yep,
where the West Waste Treatment Plant is.
yep. So
Okay.
that's page 73.
Madam Chair, if I could, just for some clarity for the record, in these adjustments that we're making where we're changing the wording from with an affordable housing and workforce housing component to some
Some.
affordable housing and workforce housing, I just want to be clear that the intentions of this board is that there's at least some. In other words,
Yep.
this isn't a purely market rate unit. I just wanted to
Yep.
clarify that on the record, that's all.
Absolutely. Yep. So the top of page 74, there looks to be an orphan sentence. It says requirements and even consider parking maximum
Just fix the units,
Stand.
the spelling.
among their zoning for housing best practices. Okay. Resulting units to be deed restricted for year-round use with some. We can change that some to a minimum number
Yeah, that ain't bad.
of affordable housing
To
and
be
workforce
determined.
housing.
I actually like that, yeah.
Okay,
But then you
we've
can say
moved
right
on
then.
from some to with a minimum number of.
Are we gonna do that consistently throughout?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, okay, page 74, number 13, in collaboration with other town departments, this is the new piece, identify gray fields with redevelopment potential, period.
Right.
And I guess, and establish criteria to evaluate properties for residential development or redevelopment potential. Use these criteria to inventory and evaluate publicly and privately owned land for citing future affordable housing projects. I'm not sure we need to. I just think I wanted to put in there, introduce the concept that we're looking for gray fields. We're looking for underutilized, blighted property. Do you want me to say prioritize? Or, or target the gray fields?
Identify.
Target would be a good word.
Target the gray fields? Okay.
Good going.
Okay.
It would be nice to have some way to say, instead of collaboration, some requirement that other departments.
Yeah.
We can always talk about collaboration, but we can't always get it done, so.
Okay.
Force collaboration by having more meetings. What we need are more meetings.
I think we need more meetings. Okay. Page 75, I wanted to take out 14 altogether. That always just drove me crazy.
You took out all the components.
It's like the OSID, it's like they were targeting it. It's like, we're not doing away with it. We're going to keep it. We can make sure that's in here is that, we could review the OSID with the intention to make it more applicable or easier to use.
Yeah, more enticing.
We're talking about lowering the acreage
Yeah.
to be, say what you said.
So he said, review the OSID with the intention of amending it to propose amendments.
What do you want to modify other than the acreage?
I don't know.
it might be something else.
Review for purposes of revision or something along that line.
Revision with the goal of making OSID more applicable in town?
Yeah, that's okay.
Or making improvements or improve
No
upon.
incentive. Extra houses.
I'm just gonna put it easier to use. I mean, we're gonna give this to the consultant who's gonna like
They're gonna wordsmith it.
fix this. Okay, that good? So 14, we'll just modify it so that OSID is changed, so it's easier to use. Okay. I have nothing on, anything else on 75?
No.
Anything on 76?
Nope.
I have
It's a good little insert in there on 76.
Sometimes people don't see housing as an issue until they start to see a lack of employees in their everyday world. On top
The
of,
wait at this restaurant will be 2 hours. We don't have enough servers this evening. Can I put you on the list?
page
This is out the door.
77, no, it's like, get your own food at the counter. Page 77, I added, collaborate with local clean water groups and town departments and committees. And I list a few, the Department of Natural Resources, the Environmental Oversight Committee, the Sewer Commission, the Select Board, to create deed-restricted year-round affordable and workforce housing which protects and improves local water quality and natural resources.
Is that not superfluous?
I just put it in there,
Just to repeat it a little bit?
yes.
Okay, repetition's good.
Repetition is good.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not we'll figure out where to put that. That doesn't really fall under zoning. But it's a clear statement that it's a housing plan with a clean water component.
Okay.
Sound good, Dale?
Yeah, you mean you're taking out 14.
Well, we're gonna revise 14.
That's 14.
Yeah, so that,
I see it as kind of a different, I think it should stay, should go in. I like that.
okay. So it should, I think because it's under zoning, it should say, I should add something like to come up with zoning, right?
Yeah,
To create zoning,
zoning or just kind of like advise in respects to the environmental issues
Mm-hmm.
the town faces. Yeah.
okay. Anything else on 77? The last one I have is on page 79, which talks about number 24, provide education and training for town staff and members of relevant boards, committees, and commissions. I struck the Urban Land Institute and put in the Rural Planners Association. And so, feedback that I got from our former town planner, Tom Fodala, was like, no. He goes, leave the Urban Land Institute in there and add the Rural Planners Association. So I will concur with him, okay?
Do we fit the category that would warrant a rural planners association? Do we?
I would think we would.
I think we're considered suburban, but a lot of people in town feel we're rural.
Yeah.
Okay.
But rural is really like farmland, but,
I got a question on this affordable housing. There's gotta be a limit that Mashpee can build. We can't build no more because the water won't
Okay.
help us to sewer. So we're talking about building a lot of houses, but there's gonna be, I asked this years ago.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a number. Mashpee can actually build 25,000 homes, and that's the limit.
okay. So, yeah,
The structure can't handle it, just with water.
37 a year for 5 years, and what happens after 5 years?
You do it over again.
We'll review it
If you
again.
did 37,
'Cause we
for
won't-
10 years, we would hit our 10%. I think that's what it is.
And
So, okay, so that's like an objective, that
Right.
one of our objectives is have a housing development plan which fits into our environmental capacity.
But
right,
This also has to be.
I'm
the
not
whole-
so sure that we have a real problem with that number though, Dennis, really.
Right.
Getting that,
Yeah.
but you're right.
I have a comment about workforce housing.
Yeah?
When we're saying workforce housing, are we, in terms of like, workforce housing, are we talking about like teachers, firefighters, and police? Is there anything in this plan that's kind of like incentivizes housing for that specific group of the workforce?
To
Well,
me,
it's
what
kind of
works-
defined by the dollars, but.
Right, so there's two different types of housing, right?
Yeah.
There's the employee housing that's linked to a business address in town. Or you could kind of say, you have to work in town to qualify for this, right? Or you can do that income range,
Right.
and you're just gonna assume and hope that they don't commute off Cape, right? Because we want them to be here. So it's all about like this is how I tell people when I talk about affordable housing that's open to everybody, right? We don't need a permit to move to another town, right? There's times in history when, yes, you had to go to the Lord and ask for permission to move. We're free. We can move wherever we want, right? So it's a delicate balance when you're trying to create housing for people that work in your town. Are you crossing that line? But it's something that, I agree with you. We should have housing here for people that work here. Definitely.
If you mandate certain positions have to live in town, that would really impact your position going forward with housing. You have no choice. Yeah.
So we want to put back into the objectives, that we want to offer housing opportunities
Like, how much can we
to
define
people
workforce
who,
housing?
right, to people who work here. Right? That's one of our objectives. Yeah. And we have it there in two places, define workforce housing and then have employer-related housing. Okay, so I think we better start our 6:30 executive session. Okay, so I got a text from Ed and Rob that they're on that Zoom.
We gotta change that.
Yeah. So Mashpee TV, if you could stop this Zoom and
You want to call?
go to the executive session Zoom.
Yeah, but you want to call into executive session first.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. Okay. All right, so seeing that the appointed time has arrived and that the chair declares that discussing this matter in open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the board, and the matter at hand is the pending litigation known as Southworth Mashpee Properties versus Town of Mashpee Planning Board, Massachusetts Land Court Case Number 24 Miscellaneous 000327 in parens HPS. The chair will now accept a vote by roll call vote to enter into executive session pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A, 3, to discuss the strategies relating to the pending litigation known as Southworth Mashpee Properties v. Town of Mashpee Planning Board, Massachusetts Land Court Case Number 24 Miscellaneous 000327. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Okay, any discussion? Let's go into, by roll call vote, Karen?
Karen Faulkner, aye.
Aye.
Michael Richardson?
That would be me.
Dennis?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Mary Wagon, aye. Okay. So. Ed, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you great.
Okay.
It's also,
He'll come up and fix it. He doesn't fix it. Okay. So, Mashpee TV, are we on, I'll let you deal with the echo.
Oh, it's picking up on that mic.
I don't know. Ed? Oh, still there.
I'm still here. I'm hearing a bit of an echo, but I'm still here.
Yeah. Mashpee TV will fix it. They always do.
Okay.
Where's Rob?
The work is still going on? Yeah.
Hi, Ed, can you hear me?
Yes.
Hi, Ed, can you hear me?
Yes, yes.
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, that's
Can you hear me?
Yeah, no more echo, right?
No more echo.
Can we turn down Ed's volume just a little bit?
His volume?
Yeah, just a little. I hear an echo. I don't know why you guys are hearing an echo. Maybe I hit my head today or something.
You hear an echo, echo, echo? Yeah.
That time I really heard it.
All right, Ed, can you hear me?
Yeah, that was good, Mike. I like that.
It's much better. The echo's much better, so we're gonna go with that.
Try it on the box. No? Or not?
Hear it?
So, Ed, can you still hear me?
Yes.
And we can hear him? That's okay. Ed, don't talk too loudly. All right, so where is Rob?
You don't see.
Does anybody have a cell? Do we
He
want
had to come back on the other link, right?
I do have his cell. Nope, I don't. Didn't you call him? Yes, I did. You're smarter than my phone. It's just going to voicemail.
Can we just email him the agenda and he can pick the meeting ID and password off the top?
I'm trying to text him. I'm gonna email him now.
You know, Karen, where are those Dixie cups and string when you need them, you know?
Stop. Okay, so Mashpee TV, are we being broadcast now? Okay, great. So thank you, everybody. This is the chair of the Mashpee Planning Board. We're meeting today, Wednesday, March 19th, 2025. We started at 5:30 with a review of our HPP. We then, at 6:30, went into executive session for about 40 minutes, and now we have returned to public session. First, I would like, again, to everybody to stand and join with me on the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. First matter on the agenda is the approval of minutes from February 19th, 2025.
Motion
Now, were
approved.
these, this had an executive session set, correct, Chrissy, and an open set? And they were both, but we will only do the public open session.
Right.
Executive session was sent under separate cover.
Okay, so we won't do that tonight. We'll do the open session from February 19th, 2025. I looked at it, I didn't have any corrections, did anybody?
No, I move approval as written.
Second.
You go with them, Karen?
Yes, I-
Okay, so Dale seconded him. And any discussion? Seeing none by roll call vote, Dale?
Aye.
Dennis? Michael?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Mary Wagon, aye. Okay. Seeing that the appointed time has arrived, the chair opens up the 7:10 public hearing. The applicant is William Russell. The location is 51 Evergreen Circle. The request is special permit to construct a 35,870 square foot indoor recreational facility with pickleball courts, golf simulators, and a restaurant pursuant to bylaw sections 174-24C1, 174-25B18 of the Mashpee zoning bylaw. I need to quickly find the, I got
it.
Oh, can you hand that over to me? Unless you want to read it in.
No.
Just for the record. And Chrissy, if you could just note that I read the public notice into the record. The Mashpee Planning Board public hearing notice under the provisions of Mass General Law, Chapter 40A, Section 9. The Mashpee Planning Board will hold a public hearing on Wednesday, February 5th, 2025 at 7:10 at the Mashpee Town Hall, 16 Great Neck Road North, to review a special permit application by William Russell to construct a 37,000 square foot building to be used as an indoor recreational facility pursuant to Section 174-2518 of the Mashpee zoning bylaw at 51 Evergreen Circle. That was submitted by Mary Wagon, Chair, Mashpee Planning Board. The publication dates were Friday, January 10th, 2025, and Friday, January 17th, 2025. Obviously, we have continued this meeting from a previous meeting. And with that, I would like to recognize the project proponent.
Good evening, Madam Chair, William Russell. Good to be here. No further conversation, updates from the last hearing, so ready for discussion on your end.
Okay, I think I might send this over to the town planner.
Sure. So since the last open public hearing, there have been a number of deliverables that the applicant has provided, as well as a number of revisions made to his plans. One of the first and most important deliverables is we did in fact receive a water quality report from the applicant on 2/28/25 that was required by the zoning bylaw, so the applicant is no longer seeking a waiver for that provision. Ed reviewed the water quality report and gave it a thumbs up, as did the Board of Health. These were prior to the last continuance on 3/5, so they were in your meeting packets for that meeting and provided to the board prior to the continuance. Since the continuance from the March 5th meeting, the applicant has also revised his plan 3 times. It will show 2 dated revisions on the plans itself. The first revisions were on 3/12/25, and those were driveway modifications to the entranceway on the southwesterly side of the lot. The second set of revisions, which will show as dated on the updated plan, is 3/19/25, were to the for emergency access, which is on the southeasterly side of the lot. the reason why I said that there were 3 sets of revisions is the revisions on the 18th and then the revisions today were rolled into one. What those revisions ultimately constituted, well, I'll address them in the 2 buckets that they fall into. For the public entrance way, the applicant was able to create 2 lanes into the entranceway and put in markings within the 2 lanes to encourage traffic to turn right into the parking lot that's a part of the front entrance of the lot or of the proposed project. What that did is it eradicated the need for a variance for the provision of our code that requires a 60-degree angle between the parking space and a driveway. So that's another exception that the applicant is no longer seeking. In that set of revisions, I believe there were some touch-ups to emergency access. For example, the access area in the loading dock in the rear of the lot was labeled fire access do not block. So that's going to be painted in back there. So that's going to keep it unobstructed to help it comply with the code. The revisions on the 18th and the 19th fall into the second bucket, which deals exclusively with emergency access. I'd say the biggest and most important component of that is the emergency access on the southeasterly side of the lot was extended an additional 22 feet to the north. So it now goes up along the building. What that does is it allows, if a fire truck were to pull in there, they are now pursuant to the local fire protection provisions, i.e. the fire protection provisions in our zoning bylaw, not state CMR. They are now able to access the furthest point of the building. They're within 150 feet of the furthest point of the building. I think that's it for that. Yeah. So that's basically the summary of the changes. You know, they deal with emergency access, the environment, water quality, and just kind of traffic and traffic mitigation. So what you have before you is a draft decision, and there are 3 waivers that the applicant is presently seeking that are within the planning board authority, all of which are expressly authorized by the code, as in the planning board can expressly waive them. And the rationale, there's already been at prior hearings discussions regarding the rationale. The rationale is both in the plans and in the code. In other words, the facts meet the law, so to speak. So if there are any other questions regarding that, if anybody wants to dig into details along those lines, I'd be happy to unpack
Just
more
wanted to
details and
comment
nuances.
about Mr. Pesci's review of all those.
Yeah, so, and the town engineer has reviewed, and this was provided to the board, he's reviewed all of the waiver requests, even prior to the revisions that the applicant has made, and is stated in a memorandum, I believe it was dated February 27th, 2025, that the waivers the applicant was seeking do not create any significant engineering and/or safety concerns. One other data point is the fire department, or excuse me, let me back up 1 second. In addition to providing the revised plans which show the extended emergency access, the applicant's engineers provided an updated swept path analysis purely for the emergency access at the front of the lot, because there were no actual like structural, there were only cosmetic changes made to the emergency access at the back of the lot, which was painting in the do not block sign. So the swept path analysis was updated purely for the emergency access at the front of the lot, as well as to include that 22-foot extension. The fire department has reviewed both the updated plans and the swept path analysis and has given the thumbs up on it. The beauty of this is it's now compliant with our local fire protection provisions, whereas it was compliant with the CMR, and whereas the fire department, as the AHJ, has the authority to waive the CMR, it's now also compliant with our local fire protection provisions. And has been duly reviewed and approved by the fire department.
Lovely. I noticed the change right away to the paving going up.
Oh, and that's one
Pavers.
other, this is a great point that Ed had raised, is that they then had to slightly adjust the location of the bio-retention facility, or the grading thereof, so that it's broadened northerly and shortened southerly where
Yep.
the emergency access extends to.
Yep. Town planner, do you have anything else to add before I go to
I
Ed?
think that was a lot.
That was a lot,
happy to answer
but
any
I followed
questions.
it.
If that didn't cover everything, or if it was in any way unclear, I'm happy to
I'm gonna go to,
answer questions.
and Rob, I just texted Rob the link and the numbers, a picture of the numbers on for the Zoom link on the top of our agenda, so hopefully he can join us soon. But, Ed, you had a letter dated March 13th. Do you want to go through that with us?
That was the latest memorandum regarding the review of the waivers. Is that correct?
Yeah.
This is the review of,
So wait, yeah.
Yep.
this is,
That was dated March 13th.
no, this is the nitrogen loading, development nitrogen loading.
This was the clarification on the
Yeah,
water.
so there was some back and forth on the water quality report.
Yeah, so-
And there was a nuanced detail that Ed wanted to dig into with his engineers, and he
So
ended up
would
okay
you
with
go
it,
over
but-
the letter regarding the water quality report first?
Yeah, so I did take a look at the water quality report. I'm sorry, for the record, Ed Pesci from Pesci Engineering. I did review the water quality report. I found it to be, I felt responsive and addressing the section of the zoning bylaw we're calling for that. And I had a couple of quick questions on some of the references to the nitrogen loading calculations, and I needed some clarification. And then either the same day or next day, the VHB engineers sent me some clarification, or written clarification by email, explaining where their numbers came from. And all I did was acknowledge that, accepted that, and said in the future, when you say you're using a 2.89 part per million nitrogen loading and all your attachments don't show how you calculated that, even though he did point to me a spot where they took an average, it's a common practice to take a Title V application and a nitrogen loading and a advanced treatment nitrogen loading and average them. And that's what they did. And so I just got clarification and ironed that out. So I found that the water quality, overall the water quality report to be acceptable. I also asked for one additional condition, which I understand that has been accepted via email, that we put all the storage of materials, the sodium hydroxide and, the other proprietary material that's used to help run the advanced wastewater treatment system, to put that on spill containment pallets inside the shed. Because there's one part of the MSDS sheet that showed that it would not be acceptable to introduce all that as in high strength capacity into the stormwater system. So I don't think anybody wants that. So they have no problem with that. They're not very expensive. They're basically a plastic false spot on pallet. Then since then, really in the last couple of weeks, there's been some advancement. I think Brian did properly describe all the various changes. I have to say Brian has been on top of this, like completely on all the different changes and all the different revisions, gathering both my comments, the fire department comments, and as of today, when I did finally review the latest plan showing that grass paved fire access drive going a little closer to the building, it did encroach upon the old edge of the bioretention area, asked them to move it, which they did today. They revised it at 4 o'clock today. I sent a revision, and I accepted that and recommend approval of the plan. So I think we're up to date with all the changes and all the documents that we've requested, and they have satisfactorily responded and addressed all my previous engineering review comments.
Okay, so that's the March 13th letter. I do want to acknowledge that we have a letter in our packet from March 19th, updated March 19th, addressed to the town planner and the planning board regarding Island Pickle. It says, Brian, I reviewed the plans for Island Pickle submitted on March 18th, 2025. I approve the new plans. This is from the Mashpee Fire and Rescue Department. Fire Chief Joseph Pelletier.
Correct.
Okay.
So one important data point there, Madam Chair, if I may interject briefly, is that there were no changes to emergency access between the 18th and the 19th. So even though the current plans are dated 3/19, the fire chief's review today of the plan just before that, the only revision was Ed's comment regarding the location of the bioretention facility. So that review unequivocally carries forward to the current 319 plan. Correct, Ed?
Agreed.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so then also in our packet, we have a revised list of requested waivers, right? And I believe that the project proponent submitted that to us?
Correct.
Okay.
And they've been incorporated into the draft minutes or decision that Mr. Tobin has written.
It's double-sided, so I've lost page 1 of that.
What, do you need an extra draft decision, or?
Of what the project proponent put in for the revised list of waivers.
That'll take a
What
little.
what is the date of that document?
That's what I'm looking for.
Okay.
You have page 1, I don't. It's somewhere here.
Do you want mine?
No, I think Brian has an extra
Gonna see if
packet
I
over
can-
there. Oh, here it is. Sorry, I got it.
You got it?
Okay, so it's titled Cape Pickle LLC, 51 Evergreen Circle, waiver request update, 12 March 2025. It looks like that. It has a little diagram on it. So do you want to bring us through that? So, number one,
So
your
mo-
waiver
mo- mo-
request has
most of them,
maintained.
If I may, Madam Chair, most of them have been addressed in the summary comments that Brian walked through already.
Yeah.
There's-
So,
So,
Well, I'm going to go through this,
Okay.
because you gave us a list of waivers, now we've struck some, right?
right,
So 1 is still a waiver request,
correct.
and that's the parking facility shall be located to the rear, side or rear of the principal structure, ...
which the planning board has the authority to waive and is written into
Okay.
the decision as a waiver.
Thank you. So
Subject
planning board
to-
has authority for that. Okay.
2 was stricken.
Number 2 is stricken, because you modified the plans.
Correct.
Okay. Number 3 is the parking lot design, alternate paving. Unless alternate paving is approved by the permitting authority, all parking areas and driveways shall be required to meet the minimum parking space requirements of section 17439 shall be paved, ... So, is this a waiver
Board
that
has-
is in our
The planning
decision?
board has the authority to waive that, and it's written into our decision.
Okay. Number 4, waiver is requested from section 174-41G, parking lot design, the curb. Okay, the perimeter of any parking area over 10 spaces and any driveway or parking lot islands shall have curbs and butters of granite, ...
The planning board does not have the authority to waive that. This is the Cape Cod berm versus cast in place concrete perimeter. The planning board does not have the authority to waive that, unfortunately has in the past or has overlooked it in the past. Out of fairness to the applicant, given the history of the application, my recommendation would be to allow that to go to the building commissioner's discretion. He can choose whether or not to send them to the ZBA for a variance, have them modify the plans, and come back to us for an administrative approval of the modified plans, or interpret the code in such a way that he doesn't deem it to be necessary and enforceable.
I agree with that.
I completely agree with that. Sound good?
Yeah, the bituminous, what is it called here?
Bituminous concrete.
Yeah, concrete. That's just asphalt balled up kind of to stop the storm
When it's Cape
flow?
Cod berm, the berm being the
Same
important
thing.
part is
It's
when it's balled
asphalt.
up. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Okay.
It's kind of the tarry looking stuff, you know? It looks black, it looks like blacktop.
Yeah, I have it at my house.
It's all over the place. It's actually at Knockabout, which we're gonna talk about.
Already on Evergreen Circle as well, everybody, just so you know.
Right.
Did
Yes.
write that in my e-march.
Yes, yeah.
Yes, so it's pretty obvious that people who are reviewing those plans did not catch that 174-41G applied. So we can discuss that later, what we're going to do about that in the future, and if there's anything that we need to change in our regulations or zoning bylaw.
Yes.
Sound
No,
good?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's some other things, you know, like the whole emergency access thing, we could consider an adjustment at fall town meeting to the bylaw to empower the fire department as the AHJ to waive our local code as well.
Awesome. Number 5, a waiver is requested from section 174-41I, or L, I think. Parking lot design. A structure adjacent to parking areas, no structure, fence, posts, or other solid objects other than curbing shall be allowed within 3 feet of the paved surface, ... And this is this relief would be to allow lighting, wastewater shed, and the EV charging station. So does the planning board have authority to waive that?
No, they do not, and I'm going to recommend treating it the same way that we treated the prior one. And this is, again, you know, a potential code interpretation, particularly with the EV charging stations, but also one of those situations where the code may be outdated. And I just would double back to Ed's, the town engineer's comments, I believe it was 2 hearings ago, where, you know, he thought this still honored the spirit of the bylaw. So we're gonna leave this one up to the building commissioner as well.
Right. And we'll put number 4 and number 5 on in the parking lot for us to look at for any regulation or zoning bylaw changes.
Yeah, well, especially with the EV charging stations, I think.
Yep.
You know, so.
Okay, so waiver request 6, 7, 8, 9, they've all been struck.
Yep, so 6 was the water quality report, he provided
Okay.
that to us. It was reviewed duly by both the town engineer as well as the Department of Health. In your, in the overall packets and a part of the public hearing record are, there is a written approval from both, as well as a more comprehensive memorandum from the town's health agent.
I see, and I see.
And
at
7 and 8.
7, number 7, the access has been addressed and corrected for,
those are
and
the-
this waiver request is eliminated.
The 319 plans and everything that I talked about at the beginning
Okay.
of this hearing.
8, access is provided by way of service entrance to the west of the building, and this waiver is therefore eliminated. And number 9, no waiver request was, the final landscape design will be completed in accordance to the Cape Cod Commission final approval per
So that's-
DRI decision.
That's not accurate. I handled that differently. That was,
Okay,
that was
number-
the applicant's request, but instead what I
Oh.
did is I put it in as a waiver, and the planning board granting it because the planning board does expressly have the authority to grant that waiver.
Okay.
And the waiver, though, still references a condition in the draft decision which states that he has to come back to the planning board with the final landscaping plan after it's received Cape Cod Commission approval. So he's got to take the final landscaping plan, get Cape Cod Commission approval, then bring it back to the planning board.
Correct.
I'm sorry, in the decision, does it say that he has to bring it back to us?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And so, Ed Pesci, I think we've covered, you have a letter dated February 27th regarding these, but I think we've covered that. Is that okay if we just acknowledge that we got your letter and it's satisfied?
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. All right. So, any questions from board members?
I have none.
No questions.
No questions? Okay.
Madam Chair, may I make a recommendation? Sorry. I don't mean to.
Yeah, I was just gonna see if Rob had any
Oh,
questions.
sorry, yep.
Rob?
I am here and finally got through, but I do not. I read all the material.
Right.
But I guess we have to vote on a couple of issues.
Yes, and we will bring that through, and I'm gonna try to follow, Rob, what's in the packet as closely as possible. What we're gonna do is, go through the special permit decision. Okay? All right.
Okay.
So Brian, you were saying something? Go ahead.
No, that's all right. If we're going to go through the special permit decision, that should cover what I was going to say.
Okay. Is there anybody in the public that would like to approach the planning board with comment? And Mashpee TV, can you see anybody, if anybody's online that would like to comment? I don't see anybody, do you? I don't see anybody. Okay.
No.
All right, so, do you guys want to, has the project proponent seen
I
the,
have.
do you have any comments on the decision?
I have comments on 2 of the conditions. When we get to them, I can
Okay.
discuss them. They're minor,
Yep.
they're grammatical, but they are clarifying.
Okay.
They're not grammatical.
So, Brian, do you want to bring us through the decision?
Sure. How would you like me to proceed? I mean, do you want me to read it verbatim or just kind of give you the gist of each?
I think a summary is good.
Yeah.
Amy, is that okay if we go through this? And if you have any comments?
Reviewing it in an open session, that is a public document, so anybody can just-
I understand.
that's fine.
Thank
You don't have
you.
to read it verbatim.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so the first section is proposal. It just talks about the gist of the application and what the applicant was seeking. I think we've beat that one to the death, so I'm just going to go on to the next one. Jurisdiction, same idea. It's what gives the planning board the authority to grant a special permit. The chronology, it talks about how back in July, the applicant first came to the planning board and then was sent to the Cape Cod Commission because the building's over 10,000 square feet for a private commercial use. It then goes through a quick history of the Cape Cod Commission's hearings. They met, I think, between the subcommittee and the full commission approximately 5 times between August and January, with the DRI coming down on January 2nd. It then talks about how it came back before the planning board just after going through the town's design review and plan review committees, and how we opened up hearing on February 5th. Then we have the decision and the findings. There's 16 findings, but all of the findings basically delineate the nature of the project, what's in the plans. I think some key paragraphs would be the paragraph 7, which discusses its compliance with all the dimensional requirements in our zoning code. Paragraph 8, which talks about its compliance with in terms of use and the uses being sought there, everything from the indoor recreational facility to the restaurant to the retail shop. Paragraph 9 addresses parking, how there's 91 spaces. And it also discusses the MOU with Chapter Closed LLC and a butter. Paragraph 10 discusses the unique shape of the lot, which ultimately, the unique size and shape of the lot, which ultimately has implications for 2 out of the 3 waivers that the planning board will ultimately vote on. The first being the location of parking in the front as opposed to the rear, and the second being, sorry, I'm having a brain slip right now. The landscaping waiver.
Oh, which number is that?
That would be number 10, paragraph
Okay.
10. Paragraph 11 discusses the details of the AI system. 13 is a reasonably important paragraph, goes through the history of reports and other documents submitted by the applicant in furtherance of reducing variances and/or waivers being sought. 14 and 15 are also key paragraphs, but they were summarized in my comments at the beginning of this public hearing. They have to do with the revisions to the southwesterly public entrance, as well as the southeasterly emergency access, as well as the labeling to not block the northerly emergency access that also doubles as the loading dock. Paragraph 16 is kind of a catch-all phrase, basically stating that this special permit meets the criteria that the planning board or any special permit granting authority under our local code would look to. And then paragraph 17 mentions Ed's approval of the waivers prior to the additional revisions to the plans made, reducing the need for waivers. And then we get into the waivers section, which is where we probably want to pay close attention to both waivers and conditions. I'm not sure if the relative board members want to take the time to closely review those here in the hearing. If you'd like me to go through
So
them
waiver
one by
number
one.
one, we talked
Yep.
about, we have the authority to do that.
Yep, and so just specifically the rationale here is it just says, per the above findings, the planning board, quote, determines that an alternative location will improve the project aesthetically. That's an alternative location for the parking lot.
Okay.
And therefore grants the requested waiver per section 174-37. The quote's taken directly out of our code. It's one of the rationales that the planning board can rely on to grant that waiver, and this was effectively a product of board discussion at, I believe it was the February 5th meeting, if not the February 19th meeting, where we had a public hearing on this matter, and we discussed how the height and the size of the building relative to the narrow beginning of the lot and the broader back portion of the lot would contribute to aesthetics to have the parking up front, because otherwise you'd have a big towering building right at the front of a narrowing lot and then a whole bunch of parking in the back. The second waiver is, well, this deals with the alternate paving,
Yes.
and Ed approved it. I mean, I think is the punchline, so I don't think we need to, if Ed wants to comment on it.
That's to
we can.
allow for that fire access.
Yeah, and it's just for 10 spaces. It's just for 10 spaces.
Yeah. So
At the
that's
front.
an I find that extremely reasonable. Okay.
Yeah.
And then,
And there, the board, it seems, the code seems to give the board pretty broad discretion, as long as they are okay with the alternate paving, so. Here, it's effectively asking for a very narrow exemption to a provision that otherwise authorizes the board broad discretion, if that makes sense. And then the third waiver is the landscaping plan that we talked about. Again, it still has to come back to the planning board for final review and approval.
where does it say it has to come back to the planning board?
So if you look at paragraph 3, which is rather thick, at the bottom, this last two sentences, it reads, "A final landscape design will be completed with the Cape Cod Commission final approval per its DRI dated January 2nd, 2025. The planning board determines that, comma, due to the shape or configuration of the parking area, comma, strict enforcement of the landscaping provision would be impractical, and grants a waiver expressly subject to the conditions below." And then if you fast forward to the conditions section.
Yes. Number 12.
12.
Got it. The applicant shall submit a revised landscaping plan to the planning board for its review
Cape Cod Commission completes it.
after the Cape Cod Commission completes its final review and approval of said landscaping plan. Thank you.
You're welcome. So I'm not
Sorry to
sure
jump
if
ahead.
now would be a good moment to ask the chair if we want the planning board to vote on each of the waivers individually, to vote on the waivers lumped collectively, or just to vote on the decision at the end.
We do them individually.
Okay.
Do you want to go
Would you
through the
like to do that now?
conditions? Because
Or
you're,
do the conditions first?
do the
Okay.
conditions, because we're all engaged in this. Go right ahead.
Very good. So the first condition is pretty straightforward. It basically says the applicant has to comply with all the conditions of the Cape Cod Commission's DRI decision. And then the second condition specifically highlights what I believe to be And through discussions with the chair, I believe the chair also believes to be a very important component of that DRI, which are the fair share provisions for any traffic mitigation over at the intersection over here just outside of Town Hall. So it just says, without in any way limiting the immediately preceding condition, the applicant shall coordinate with the Town of Mashpee Department of Public Works to ensure compliance with any required quote, fair share, end quote, provisions in the aforementioned DRI. The applicant shall likewise keep the planning board informed with said compliance. So it's basically just to make sure that side of DRI works with whatever decisions the town makes regarding this intersection, any potential roundabout, and the timing thereof, because the DRI itself is flexible. And the reason why it's flexible is because he may complete his construction before or after the town puts in a roundabout. So it wouldn't make sense for him to update that intersection or, and then, or contribute to an update of that intersection and then the plan changes. It just provides flexibility. Does that make sense?
So
Yeah. No, it's okay. If I'm speaking too fast.
the Cape Cod Commission DRI process has a mechanism to monitor this.
Correct.
Yes.
They have a process where you have to, in the end, get a certificate of compliance with their.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah, I'm happy with that.
And my understanding is either way, there will be a fair share contribution.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Okay. Which
So-
one are we on? 3?
3. That basically just acknowledges the fact that there's been a lot of plans submitted and a lot of revised plans submitted, and that the most recent revised plan will be what this application is based upon in each case. So obviously the architectural plans won't need,
Do not change.
they're done. So, the most recent revised plan was today, which fixed that bioretention grading so that emergency access could be up.
And basically, all the changes were on the same sheet, so it's C301.
Yeah.
So all the things that have been discussed it is one sheet that was
Yeah,
recast a few
so
times.
I worded it this way, so that would be in effect for that sheet.
Right.
Any non-updated sheets would remain in effect based on their most recent date.
Correct.
Unless they needed revision as a consequence of this
Correct.
updated sheet. It's worded to.
Okay. You agree with that
all
language?
scenarios.
Okay. It's language we've never used before, but I think I'm willing to use it this time. Usually we have all the plans, the names and the dates.
Yeah, well, that would have required them just to stamp past plans that don't need revisions.
And I think the other thing we do is we get the full set, we get one or two.
Yep.
And then they're actually signed by the chair and stamped. There's a planning board stamp,
Sure.
so that we know,
Every page?
yeah. I sign and I stamp every page, and then I think they scan them in, and that way they know what the final is, so there's no confusion.
Yeah, but none of the other plans will need revisions, right? So it's
Well,
just,
the reason is, we updated the documents that dated February 18th to reflect the small requests that Ed had. I have those in my truck, so I have a complete.
We don't sign
set.
them today.
So I can bring them tomorrow or what have you.
Yes,
So
and you compile them, and then when it comes off of appeal, you know what I mean? There's something else, I think there's something else we sign, I don't know, and then we sign and stamp the plans.
So the only, for my action on this, I need to get you a revised T301. Yeah,
Full size, yep.
size, yeah.
full size, yes.
Yep.
And then I will coordinate with Brian.
Ed, interject if you have any issues with anything we're saying, please.
No issues at all. I think that's a good way to go forward. I'm sure Bill has no problem getting it to you. No, I don't see any issues.
Okay.
We won't make him go out to his truck now.
Yeah.
We almost did. All right, number 4.
This just says that the O&M plan for the stormwater management plan is gonna run with the land. So if he sells it, assigns it, dies and leaves it to his kids, which we hope doesn't happen. We hope that you play pickleball for years to come. whoever presently owns the land will still be responsible for operating and maintaining the, or adhering to the stormwater management plan, so. Condition 5 is a condition that Ed recommended, and I'll just read it verbatim, and Ed, if you want to change the wording in any way, please let me know. The applicant shall conduct soil testing in the vicinity of the bioretention basins per design prior to construction to confirm the soil suitability and estimated seasonal high groundwater elevation. The soil test / perk test logs shall be provided to the planning board for the project files. And then I added and to the town's health agent, but Ed, if you feel that's unnecessary, I'm happy to strike it.
If you don't mind, would like to involve the health department.
That's fine. These tests have already been done, so I have no problem providing that
Yep.
report.
Ed, does that wording work for you?
Yep.
Yeah, actually, after I made that comment, because they didn't originally provide the McGartle Cannon geotechnical report with a whole bunch of test bits. So I would say that they've addressed that comment satisfactorily already with new documentation they provided, which had all the test bit data that I was looking for and all the soil information I was looking for. So I don't think you need that anymore.
Well, I'm not gonna bother striking it if it's a condition they've already complied with, you know? We'll just leave it in there.
Right? That's fine.
And I'm sorry,
That's fine.
so Ed, you have that, correct? You have all that
I do.
documentation? Yeah, okay.
Yep.
So I'm fine with that.
No worries. Portions of this were,
I didn't have it when I did the review, that's why I wrote it.
Right.
the portions of this were drafted prior to revisions and updates being made, so. My philosophy is at this stage, rather than making more adjustments to the decision, if there's a condition that's complied with, we'll just leave it in.
Sure.
This one is also for you, Ed. Condition number 6, the applicant shall install a false bottom type spill containment pallet for storage of all materials, parenthetically, or chemicals as per the water quality report, and parentheses, in the shed behind the building to protect against any spills to the stormwater management system on the approved plans.
Agreed, great.
Condition 7 just says that the applicant's going to finalize the MOU. If you recall from the meeting on February 19th, 2025, we affectionately referred to the MOU as an agreement to agree. So the applicant is going to work out the details of the MOU with the abutter, but it does kind of hold the applicant's feet to the fire by saying, bottom line is there's got to be sufficient overflow parking.
Right, fully understand.
You're okay with that?
Yep.
Good, thank you.
Condition 8 was based on Mary's comments at the first meeting, that would be on February 5th, 2025. And it states verbatim, the applicant shall routinely remind patrons of the facility to drive carefully and observe all speed limits on the way to use the facility.
Thank you.
Because people rush to pickleball. And I'm not sure if they sign up electronically, if you can just send them an email, it says drive carefully.
We have actually electronic waiver that you will sign up for when you sign up for a reservation, so I can put that into those. Don't hold
Just a
me to
little,
that.
just a little friendly reminder.
Something.
Thank you.
There's room
The
in that
pickleball
condition
court
for you
will
to be
still be
creative.
there, you know, you don't have to speed.
Condition number 9, I'm going to read, and then I'm going to pause that and allow the applicant to comment, because I know it's one he would like to comment on.
Okay.
To put delicately. Employees of the facility shall carpool to work.
And the comment was to add the phrase, be encouraged. to
Absolutely.
Correct.
Yeah.
You guys are too nice. Am I the only one who cares about emissions? Condition 10, the hours of operation shall, and that should be not be, unless you're speaking Shakespearean English, but I'll read it verbatim.
That's
The hours of operation shall be
Okay.
not earlier than 7 a.m. nor later than 10 p.m.
This was my second area for comment.
Yes.
And I had raised a question when I read the draft that it's my experience, your ComVic license and your other licenses would dictate the hours of operation. So I was wondering if there was a necessity to put hours of operation here that may be different than what I would like to seek, because I don't have it defined right now.
Okay, so why don't we just make that, can we somehow put that under the findings that we encourage that? No.
Well,
Okay.
why don't we ask the board, why don't we have board discussion? Can we do that? Because I
Yep.
just want to do what everybody feels like is the right thing to do. Because this was something that we talked about at the very first meeting.
What did you
So
think the
be-
hours
so-
would be?
So before discussion, I was proposing 6 AM to 11:59 PM.
Yep.
You know, I'm the guy running it. I don't want to stay there all night, but there may be the instance where there's something, the special event may restrict it or continue past 10 PM. I don't want to have a conflict with the point, with this decision, knowing that I'm going to be applying for all my hours in my ComVic license, my entertainment
Well,
license, and all these other things.
So here's the thing, this is a multi-use facility. Are we talking about those hours for pickleball? Are we talking about those hours for the restaurant and slash tavern? Are we talking about them for the golf simulators? That kind of thing, you know? Maybe
It's
that's,
kind of all.
yeah.
I mean, you know.
So if I could be candid, and I want to float this comment out, and this is not to ruffle your feathers or give the applicant a hard time too much, but it's just something for the board to think about, right? One of the great things about this project is it solves the pickleball problem on Cape Cod by taking it out of your backyard and putting it into an indoor facility in an industrial park. I guess my question is, if pickleball is going to be played indoor after 10 PM, what kind of assurances does the board have that it won't echo miles away?
Well, one, it's indoors, it's
Yeah.
closed,
Well.
but
So
the
you won't
concern, my greater concern is around how I'm gonna run the tavern,
Yeah.
candidly, than the pickleball. It's
Well-
the full, so, I don't have any answer to your question to
Right,
be
but Bill,
definitive now, so.
That's what I'm saying. I'm actually okay with the tavern being open till 11:59 PM. I don't know how the board feels, but
am.
I'm just worried, like, if the clinking does go on till late, I think it would drive people trying to put their kids to bed crazy if it's like happening at 11:30 on a Tuesday night. Assuming any sound whatsoever travels, like, we don't really know until it's built.
That's true, it's R22 insulation and a steel building that's fully enclosed with no
Thank
windows.
you. Thank
So
you.
I-
No,
I-
that's
I
good.
don't
Say it again
anticipate-
for the record.
I don't anticipate any noise as being an issue from the pickleball facility itself.
There's no neighbors around there.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
Dennis, I'm encouraging board discussion, so please share your thoughts, please.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
in an industrial zone, right? So, I mean,
Yeah, Ed, I'm gonna just let the planning board
Yep,
kind of
absolutely.
talk, thanks.
Yep.
All right, so you are okay
I
with
would
6
be okay
AM?
with 6 AM to 11:59 PM. That's clear that there's a window of operation, and it gives me the flexibility to modify my usage based upon experience.
So, right. We talked about it kind of in a definitive way when the public was here. Can we have you report back on that?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
how can
No.
you?
Okay.
We're trying to do a vote now, you know, so we just,
No, I mean,
he has a bar, there could be a game on that's out the west coast that starts at 10.
Right.
He's not gonna say, oh, I gotta shut this off, while people are, you know, going, watching a game, or,
how many people can fit in your tavern?
It's 100 person between
100 seats.
100 seats,
In the tavern?
yeah, total, yeah.
Is any outside?
Well, there's a patio
summer.
outside.
The patio in the back.
And how many people can sit out?
It's included in the 100.
Well, how, like, is it 10% of the seats are outside, 50%?
Well, there's no defined seating outside, right?
Okay.
We'll be there, we'll be, you know, picnic tables or what have you, so, but it's, the seating occupancy is defined by the tavern, and the patio is part of the tavern.
Okay. So how is noise regulated in town? Nothing before 7 AM.
yeah. And I think with Dino's, they go to 11:30, with the
Okay.
music outside. But I don't see the noise traveling out of that building. You know, the pickleball.
No, I'm just trying to figure out, okay, so are you going for an entertainment license with?
I will be.
Okay, and that goes before the Board of Selectmen?
In the town of Mashpee, I'm not sure who it goes before, to be
I
honest
think
with
it
you.
is the Board of Selectmen.
And
Yeah,
It is
just
the
like
selectmen.
with
Yeah.
Tino's.
It is in most towns. I
Well,
haven't.
that
read
was my point, is like, I'm gonna be taking this up with the folks who are gonna enforce it, and so do I wanna be constraining here when they may be constraining there? right? So my proposal, if there needed to be an hours of operation here, to keep it broader, and 11:59 PM was my suggestion, to keep it in the current day. Clearly not extending out into the morning early hours, late at night. I go to bed at 7:30 usually, so even this is late.
I
Is
know,
the-
I'm sorry.
Is the issue about noise?
The issue is that we settled on 7 AM to 10 PM,
It's what I wrote
right?
originally.
But if
The
you've got
abutters-
a tavern, 10 PM may be a bit early.
It's noise, it's driving.
If I may,
it's-
Madam Chair.
It's the, oh, I'm talking to Karen.
Sorry.
Karen, to me, it's the noise, it's the cars going in and out, 100-person tavern, right?
The
So I'm-
noise, the only noise, if this is pretty much soundproof, is out on the patio.
Right,
That's right.
and that,
And how many people would there be roughly, max?
It's part of the 100. I don't have a
You don't
number
know.
for the outside.
Standard.
But what I would
standard
say is that, you know, the hours of operation for Cape Cod Coffee down the street extend past 10 PM. The 7 to 10 came from.
I'm sorry, say that again?
The hours of operation of Cape Cod Coffee down the street extends past 10 PM. But
Can't hear you, sorry.
10
Cod-
minutes past 10 PM.
Cape Cod Coffee is at 10 Evergreen Circle, at the
Yeah.
beginning of this street.
Right.
And their hours of operation extend past 10 PM. But they don't extend past midnight. I don't know what they exactly are. And it's not my intent to be open late all the time, but I think Dennis put it right. If I'm doing a Super Bowl party, you know, and I'm hosting a sporting event, so there's gonna be more of the exceptions, not the rule. The rule will be generally, it will be closing earlier, but there's gonna be times when I'm gonna wanna have that extension. So I don't want those extensions to be in violation with this special permit.
Okay.
So I was proposing it to be broader on that basis. The 7 to 10 came from my write-up. I actually originally wrote that because that's what I believe my general hours of operation are going to be. But if there's a special tournament for pickleball, that I can actually have a large net set of folks that are gonna play in that tournament, and I need to start it earlier, like at 6 AM, I wanna have the ability to do that. But generally speaking, 7 to 10 is the way I look at, that's a 15-hour day, right? So that's the way I look at the facility. I just didn't want to be constrained on this provision here, so I was proposing it to be 6 AM to 11:59
Can we put
PM.
that under the findings, that the project proponent anticipates the general hours of operation will be, and then have on a condition, the hours of operation shall not be earlier than 6 PM, nor later than 11:59 PM? Just to acknowledge that you believe that the general operation, in general, the hours of operation will be 7 AM to
10 PM, yeah.
10 PM, under the findings. Add that to the findings. It's kind of like the information,
Yeah,
or the applicant offered that the general hours of operation will most likely be 7 AM to 10 PM.
correct.
And then we'll have the condition, the hours of operations shall not be earlier than 6 AM nor later than 11:59 PM.
Perfect, thank you very much.
That way we can remember, oh yeah, we did talk about this a little bit.
I think that's fair.
I think everything's gonna work out just fine.
Yeah.
Hello, Mary.
Hi, Rob.
Hi, I have just a bit about the hours. Not so much the sound or the noise during operating hours, but I'd like to get a little clarification of especially the all outside lighting. At 11:59, you close up, you shut off all the lights except for minor safety lighting. I'm thinking of patio lighting, which Cape Cod Coffee has patio lighting all around, and sometimes I've gone by there and they're on all night. And that might not be a good thing. The patio lightings are not dark sky, qualified, they're just open light bulbs that burn, and sometimes if somebody doesn't shut them off, all night long, and might interfere with either wildlife or abutters. Can you comment on when the lights come on, and when the lights come off, and what kind of lights you're envisioning?
Well, I cannot comment on what kind of lights I'm envisioning per se. They're not specifically selected, but what I can, for the specifics of the patio, right? So we have the details of the exterior lights around the outside of the building, around the parking facility, and we did the photometric analysis at the request of this board to provide that details that shows there isn't a concern with that regard. So that's really the longest timeline of the lighting that would be on, would be those that were fully satisfied by the photometric analysis.
So you're not anticipating adding additional patio lights to the photometric?
No, there are patio lights that are in there, but that's not the driving light. It's three-sided structure, right? So it's not like what you're thinking about with the other facility, which is open air. It's not an open air structure. It has a full roof on the patio. It's three-sided, so there's really just, the light is directed into the parking lot. The parking lights are the overwhelming light, which are satisfied, which, were
Satisfied our
detailed by the
lighting plan
photometric analysis.
requirements.
It satisfied it.
Okay.
So I don't think there's a broad concern here relative to the patio per se, given the broader lighting is driven by the parking lot. I don't know if that answered your question or not, Rob.
I think you did, just, have it brought up and discussed. Thank you.
Okay, yep, you're welcome.
Okay. Everybody good with in the findings that the applicant noted that the general hours of operation would be 7 to 10 p.m., but that in the condition,
Yes,
the operating hours is 6 a.m. to 11:59.
I am.
Okay?
And Madam Chair, if I can, on the findings, I'm going to say the applicant intends the general hours of operation will ordinarily be between 7 a.m. to 10 p.m.
It's fine.
Okay?
Yep, thank you.
All right, good. Okay, number 11. Want me to take it over, Brian?
If you want to.
Yep, number 11, construction hours for the project shall be 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., Monday through Friday, and 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. on Saturday. No construction shall occur on Sundays, absent a verifiable emergency. Sound good?
Yep.
Okay. Applicant shall submit a revised landscaping plan to the planning board for its review and approval after the Cape Cod Commission completes its final review and approval of said landscaping plan. Number 13, all conditions of the special permit shall be binding upon the applicant, its successor in interest, heirs, and assigns. Number 14, no occupancy permit or building permit shall be issued while there exists any substantial violation of the conditions of the special permit unless the board, by a favorable vote of 4 members at a regular meeting, shall allow such issuance. Number 15, any future modification or changes to the planning board shall require planning board approval. Changes that are de minimis in nature or technical corrections as determined by the planning board shall be made without the notice and the public hearing requirements of Master Law, Chapter 48, Sections 9 and 11, and the Mashpee zoning board zoning bylaw 174-24C1. 16, the last one, within 60 days of the approval of this decision, the applicant shall provide to the board a copy of its decision as recorded with the registry of deeds, including indication as to its book and page number.
Can I have a clarification on that? So I guess I'm not familiar with how this works. So basically, I record it and then I bring it back to you?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, and that whole verbiage about book and page number, it'll come back that way from the ROD, so.
Okay, that's fine. I understand.
What they're saying is just don't bring us the unrecorded copy,
Right.
or what I'm saying, what we're saying.
I get it.
So there's another finding and a slight modification to condition number
9 and 10.
9 and 10. Okay, so, are we comfortable closing the public hearing?
I am.
I am.
Okay. Okay, I'd accept a motion to close.
Public hearing.
Second?
Okay, by roll call vote. Karen?
Aye.
Michael?
Aye.
Dennis?
Aye.
Dale?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Any discussion and deliberation? I'd accept a motion to approve the special permit decision as amended.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, so that was Dennis and Michael?
Yep.
Was the second?
It was Dennis and Dale.
Dennis and Dale, sorry. Dennis made the motion, Dale seconded. Any further discussion? Okay. By roll call vote, I'm going to start with Dale.
Aye.
Aye.
Dennis? Richard?
Aye.
Karen?
Aye.
Rob?
Aye.
Aye, and the chair is going to vote present because you already have, that's a member of, that's 5 members.
Okay.
Right? I don't think I have, I don't vote if I don't have to. Because Rob was seated.
Yeah.
And
But
everybody.
I just can't remember if Rob was seated because Karen was absent and we need to give her a.
Did everybody do the
He
Mullen
was.
Rule
Mullen
thing?
Rule.
Everybody sign, if you missed a meeting, did you sign the Mullen Rule
She didn't
paperwork?
sign them all in
I
rule.
don't recall signing it.
Because
I missed
I
one.
think we didn't do it because you seated Rob, but,
But which one did she miss? The one that,
Okay, so I'll vote aye.
okay. Yeah, I think just to be safe.
I'll vote aye. Okay.
the ayes have it.
Not that anybody's going to appeal this.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep us in the loop with things, okay?
I'll be back. Thank you very much.
And I just want to thank the project proponent, our town planner, and our consulting engineer, our planning board engineer, for getting through this so quickly. This was a significant project in front of us, and nice job,
And
everybody.
if I may echo that, Madam Chair, this is a big project, and it's not one to be taken lightly. And, my compliments to the thoroughness that Brian drove me to support and provide the information so that it could be a very clean process at the end. So, we found some things we needed to fix, and we fixed them, and at the end of the day, we have a better product as a result. So thank you all for your
Yeah, that's great. That's great. Okay,
Thanks, Rob.
I'm just going to give the recording secretary some of my notes.
Great.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, one thing that I'm not even sure if we had
These are the
mentioned it
documents,
previously,
like,
but
I
this is going to be the
researched.
largest.
Okay.
This is going to be the largest commercial building in Mashpee.
All right, thank you. Okay, ready to continue with our agenda? Okay, so I'm going to skip board engineer reports for now and go to old business, 275 Quiniquisette Avenue, Southworth Mashpee Properties, LLC. Discussion and deliberation regarding the special permit modification submitted by Southworth Mashpee Properties, LLC, on remand from Land Court to add a 6.06 acre parcel to the special permit and any related decision, condition, and mitigation. Okay. Okay, so I'd like to go over the draft decision. And this is the decision that has the date, it says draft, revised 3/6/2025. Planning Board remand decision, Willow Bend special permit modification, 275 Quiniquisette Avenue, Cranberry Point. So, at the table, we have our town planner, Brian Tobin, town council, Amy Questle, and remotely, we have board engineer, Ed Pesci, and we have Rob Hanson. Now, I think the people that are seated on this are, sorry. In the room, not Rob. Okay, thank you, Amy. That's what my notes say. So we have Dale, Dennis, Mary, Michael, and Karen are seated on this matter. So do you want me to read this, Amy? Because,
Again, you don't have to, you can just do exactly kind of what Brian did, which is kind of paraphrase.
Yeah.
do you want to do that?
Sure.
Okay.
So, in the first, on the first page, we start with number one, the proposal. The proposal goes through, that there was a special permit that started in 1987. It was also revised in 1991. And then the applicant had filed an application to modify the special permit for the construction of 12. They had originally proposed 14 single-family houses, and they then reduced that from the 14 to the 12, they are, so they're seeking the modification to the special permit under 174-24C 9G. And then there's, we describe the property, what the property is bounded by, et cetera. And that the 12 units would contribute to the overall dwelling unit maximum of currently 287. And the inclusion of these 12 units would increase the total number of dwelling units in the overall project to 285. And there's a special permit condition right now that specifies a maximum number of bedrooms of 853. And then under the jurisdiction, the application was made pursuant again to 174-24C9. We state that the application is also subject, it's also pursuant to the provisions of 40A Section 9 and the remand order that was issued by the land court. So then we get into the chronology. The application was filed, this is the, the initial application, which was in March of 2024. The applicant subsequently appealed that to the land court. It was then remanded back here, and now we're down here. Now we're back on the remand. And so now for the findings. For A, it's the proposed modification is less than 10%. Therefore, it's under 24C9D. Under the provisions of sections 9.3 and 9.4 of the 1985 zoning bylaw, which is what this originally was under, it's a minimum of 92 acres of open space was required. Current open space is 237.9 acres, which is an excess. In C, it's the 1987 special permit would have allowed 341 residential units and was permitted for 338. In 1991, that was reduced to 287. The applicant currently is offered to cap the maximum allowed units at 285, and the board finds that this increase and new cap to be permissible as it's less than the original 338 and less than the currently allowed 287. So, the board is accepting the offer of 285 and placing a cap on the project for 285. And then there is, so under D, there's the bedroom count. And I go through how we came up with the bedroom count.
Can I just go back to C?
Yep.
Are you going to add a sentence saying?
Yep, I'm gonna add, the sentence that says that there's a new maximum cap of 285 units.
So that's to item 4C.
Yep. And then, actually, Madam Chair, as I'm looking at this, under D is the bedroom, so we can get rid of P, the provision P that I had.
Okay, yep,
I
go
cited
ahead.
bedrooms twice.
Yep, great.
So, we talk about the bedrooms, we go through the calculations, where the town came up with approximately 855, the applicant came up with 898, and then increased that to 958 because of the existing and permitted bedrooms. Adding 48 bedrooms to that, which is what they're proposing, would bring that up to 1,006. And then I do state in the finding that it's the applicant's position that the number of bedrooms is not within jurisdiction of the planning board, as the bedrooms are all connected to a Mass DEP permitted wastewater treatment plant. The board's position is that the cap on the number of bedrooms was conditioned in 1991 and was not appealed and is therefore final. Adding to this condition, we are going to state that the board shall allow the proposed 48 bedrooms plus an additional 85 bedrooms for all other areas covered by the entire special permit, period. And then we're going to state that the applicant shall submit an annual report to the planning board documenting the number of bedrooms permitted. Annual report shall continue until either the 285th unit is constructed or the annual reporting of bedrooms reaches the reaches the 48, I did the math, but I didn't write it down. Oh, it's 133. I think it is. It's 48. Sorry, I'm not good at math. 48 plus 85, 133. Or until the 133 bedrooms are permitted, whichever occurs sooner. So the annual reports will continue until either the 285th unit is built or they reach the 48 plus the 85. And then they have to come to you and say why they have extra bedrooms and not 285 units.
Got it.
So I find that hard. I don't think that's going to be possible, that they're going to somehow expand it by 85 bedrooms when they're only at 285 units.
Got it.
But I put it in there, just in
Thank you.
case.
Got
Okay.
it. Yep.
And then going to E, this E is the 100-foot buffer strip, which we discussed at a hearing. I don't know if it was the last hearing or the hearing before. This had already been waived in the prior special permit and was not appealed. So that's exactly the same. And F kind of goes off of that, where F finds the 65-foot buffer strip is greater than the 40-foot. That's from the last decision that was not appealed. G is the board finds that the Mashpee General Bylaws Chapter 108 flow neutral applies to the subject property. H is that the board finds that the subject parcel and surrounding bog system contemplated in the applicant's mitigation package are within or adjacent to areas mapped as moderate pre-contact archaeological sensitivity areas determined from townwide. This has to do with the public archaeology laboratory. And so the board accepted comment from the tribe and expressed concern over the ground disturbing. This was in the last decision that was not appealed. The board hired GHD to evaluate the applicant's proposed mitigation. In its opinion, the applicant's mitigations proposal have the opportunities to more than offset the nitrogen that is planned to be added by the new development. However, the value of nitrogen that can be offset is estimated, can only be determined from precondition and post-construction testing. The restoration of approximately 5 acres has the potential of offsetting 92 pounds per year of nitrogen. The net addition is estimated to be 57. Therefore, there's a potential net benefit if the restoration process equals the estimate. The applicant restores, if the applicant restores approximately 2 acres, so I'll take that out
Take it
because
out,
you guys have
yeah.
already done, you're gonna do the 5. Okay.
So you're going to strike the 2 last sentences.
Yeah.
Right.
The board finds that the proposed stormwater sediment forebay proposed within the 65-foot buffer strip will capture pre-treatment stormwater. That was from the prior decision. And then the site plans, I just cited that the site plans were reviewed by your engineer. Changes were made, and the engineer is happy with that. The project on the subject parcel, as well as the bog, falls within the jurisdiction of the Mashpee Conservation Commission and will require the issuance of an order of conditions. And actually, I'll add O to that one, which is going to be that, so we'll add a sentence to L with regard to the planning board strongly, I have it written down here. The planning board strongly recommends that the Conservation Commission require a report documenting the pre- and post-construction total nitrogen loads down gradient of the bog restoration.
Right.
Okay, and then additionally, the board finds it due to the,
Sorry, say that again.
So
You're going to
it's-
add to L.
we're gonna add to L, and it's going to say, at the end, it's going to say, the planning board strongly recommends the Conservation Commission require in their order of conditions, a condition that a report documenting the pre- and post-construction total nitrogen loads down gradient of the bog restoration.
Thank you. I just wanted to hear the word nitrogen again.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, I phased out when you said it the first time. All right, go ahead.
So M has to do with the tree preservation bylaw, that's conservation also. And then the board finds that the proposed mitigation offered by the applicant will adequately mitigate the impacts of the project. The applicant has proposed the following mitigation to make a, I'm going to say the applicant has proposed the applicant has proposed and the board accepts.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and the board accepts. Make $110,000 cash contribution to the Mashpee Affordable Housing Trust payable upon issuance of the building permit and the culmination of the appeal period for any building permit for the first unit at Cranberry Point. No work shall commence until the 30-day appeal period has run and the payment has been deposited with the town. Donate parcels 21, 22, and 23 shown on Mashpee Assessor's Map 77, totaling just over 1/2 of an acre to the Mashpee Affordable Housing Trust. Said deed must be presented to the town upon the issuance of the building permit and the culmination of the appeal period for any building permit for the first unit at Cranberry Point. No work shall commence until the 30-day appeal period has run and the deed has been recorded with the applicant responsible for all recording fees. And then restore approximately 5.3 acres of cranberry bogs to natural wetland systems identified in the site plans around the perennial stream called Quaker Run in accordance with in accordance with an order of conditions from the Mashpee Conservation Commission until adequate performance surety is posted with the Mashpee Conservation Commission for the scope of the restoration. No building permit shall be issued pursuant to this decision. The applicant through an approved third party, oh, sorry, that's being deleted.
I lost you. So on the 5th page, you were reading triple I, which ended with,
We're gonna end it with, shall be, the that the, no building permits will be issued
Okay.
until a surety is deposited with the Concom.
yep, okay.
The last two sentences are deleted.
Last two sentences are deleted, then we go to the next page.
And then we go to, which is now going to be the new 4, which starts as Connect 47
Pompanesett Ave.
Ave to the private wastewater treatment plant upon the issuance of a building permit and the culmination of the appeal period for any building permit for the first unit at Cranberry Point. No work shall commence until the 30-day appeal period has run and 47 Pompanesett Ave has been connected to the private wastewater treatment plant. And so that is it.
Then we stop at 5, the vote.
The vote,
All those notes are struck,
because we've incorporated them.
right?
So the
And-
notes are that the mitigation package was approved, and that the units are gonna be capped at 285, and the bedroom is allowing the 48 plus an additional 85.
With annual
With
reports.
annual reports, yes.
And then we go back to on the date after due consideration, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And then, so that paragraph stays. Okay. So when I do call for a motion, I'm gonna somehow make it so that town council can insert all the dates. See how there's like on this date, on that date, because.
So actually, Madam Chair, that date would be today, that date. The other dates are going to be, they're gonna have to be filled in by Brian with the file, because they're the previous,
So the date on the very last
that's today.
page is page,
No number.
I know next
And
time.
they're not numbered,
Sorry.
that's my
Last.
fault.
On the,
Seven.
on the 6th, well, that's our 6th page, that date is today.
Yeah.
Seconded by whom? By a certain person or the planning board?
Well, I'm trying to lead to a motion that allows town council with information from our files.
Yep.
Our public files. See where there's highlights throughout that has
Yeah,
the
yeah.
dates? So we need to fill those in, right? Before it's filed with the town clerk. But I think we can make a motion
Yes.
authorizing town council to fill in those dates.
Sure, but I can't do that. That has to be done by staff because of the file. Because that, like.
Okay, so we
because-
can authorize the town planner to
Correct.
do that, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, yep, good. So that would be part of the motion. Are there any further comments or questions from board members about the decision as amended?
No.
No.
Okay. So who would like
I make a
to,
motion to close the public hearing.
we already closed it, we're deliberating.
Okay.
Yeah, so you want to make a motion to approve the decision as town
Right.
council has presented with these amendments, authorizing the town planner to fill in the dates as highlighted throughout the written decision?
So be.
So moved. Second.
Okay, does that sound like an adequate motion?
Yes.
Town council, okay.
Yes.
Any discussion? No? Who wants to go first? Karen?
No discussion. Aye.
Okay, so I'll take a roll call vote. Karen Faulkner,
Aye.
Michael Richardson,
Aye.
Dennis
Aye.
Balzerini, Dale,
Aye.
and I'm an aye too.
What about Rob? He didn't sit on this, though.
He didn't sit on this, Rob. You didn't sit on it, but, so we'll just keep it at that. So the decision passes. Okay, thank you.
Bye, Jack.
All right.
Gosh, are these the two biggest things we've done? And they happen to hit at the same night.
All right, I just want to thank again our town planner, town council, and our engineer for hanging in there throughout all of this. This is a long process. Amy, we're going to miss you. You're welcome anytime. Look, this is the first
There's
time,
always a chance you'll be back.
We'll get sued again.
this has never happened. This is.
No one ever wants to see me.
No, we
It's never
like,
good when I'm here. Brian, I'll make I'll make all the changes, then I'll send it to you for the notice and all that stuff that you will fill in.
Sounds good.
Okay.
then when the final document is ready, don't
Yeah.
we have to come and sign it?
Yeah, you guys will have to.
So I have only you signing it
Okay.
because that was how the last decision was, but that's up to
Nope,
you.
I'll sign it.
It doesn't matter.
I wasn't familiar. You can't look up the notice hearing dates and insert those?
No, because I have no idea when the notice was sent to the newspaper. I have no idea. I mean, I can,
Oh, so it's not an authority thing, it's just a knowledge thing.
oh yeah, it's just whatever's in the file.
Okay.
No, right, yep, nope, that's,
I don't have, for example, I don't have the date that the remand application was filed. I don't have any of the information from the prior hearing. That should all be in the file.
This will be a fun project.
I have a file. I have a file.
No, I have, it's on the shared drive or Laserfish, but it's just,
It's just because Brian hadn't started.
yeah, this started like a
Do you
year and
want
a
me-
half before I
Here's what
started.
I'll do. I'll revise the decision, taking out as many dates as I think I can.
Yeah.
But if I can't, we should put in the decision like,
I'm not afraid to roll up my sleeves, I just wanted
like it was
to
properly
be
noticed.
understanding of
things
why
like
I was
that.
doing it, that's all.
Yeah.
Yes. And I have a lot of that information.
I
Let's
put
see
in
what
my
you can,
little
if you have any holes, let me know.
Yeah, take it out.
It's public information.
Yeah.
Public information.
Yeah.
All right, well, again, thank you, Amy.
All right, thank you,
Thank you.
everyone. Have a good night.
You too.
Bye, Jack.
Okay. Let's go back to board engineer report. Hey, Ed.
Hey there, everybody. Hang on a second, let me just make a note. When we're quitting this discussion, congratulations on getting to that point, for all of you. The only update I have for board report, well, I have two updates. Number one, I did speak to Kevin Mahoney from Pastori Construction regarding Osprey Court. They hadn't gone back to the site yet, but he did promise me he was gonna go back and refresh the construction entrance before they return, and it's gonna be any day now when they go back.
That's
They've
good.
been here today.
They already did that.
They've been here today.
They already
Okay,
did
good.
that, and they're start putting the pipes in.
The rocks are in there and
He
they,
told
yeah, they're
told me
in.
last week he was gonna do it, and he said he would get to it, and I told him that I didn't wanna go to another meeting and tell everybody that you're gonna get to it, and you keep telling me you're gonna get to it. So I'm glad to see he did get to it. The second item is the 474 Main 31 in Schumett. That project is under construction in a big way, and there's been quite a bit of work that's been done on the drainage system there. I have to congratulate the Cape Wide construction staff. It's been a very difficult installation of drainage systems there. I was there Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. I had one of my inspectors there on Monday. We did some modifications to in the field with the Bracken Engineering engineers' input, and he approved those changes. He's documented them in an email. They're minor, small, minor edits, but suffice it to say that because the dig was so darn deep, the way that the original design was put, the amount of sand and gravel, amount of crushed stone around the infiltration system is significantly bigger and larger than was originally designed on paper. By that I mean, when you go deeper, you gotta cut wider.
Yeah.
When you cut wider, the top of that excavation is now much further away from the edge of the structures than the design called for, only a couple of feet. You can't build it that way. You just can't, and put the filter fabric around the edges of the excavation. So we were able to delete a couple of those structures and still provide an equivalent amount of capacity. I did have a nice discussion with the new owner of the property that's going to take over the property. I went over all that with him when I was out on the site one day. But suffice it to say that project is proceeding pretty well, site work wise. And I think that's all I have.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
All right, so, let's see, I don't have any new business on the agenda. Chair's report, I'm sorry that I didn't staple this, but that's one for Karen. There's one for you. One for you three, and I'll give you one, Chrissy. All right, so today I went to the Cape Cod Commission's Regional Policy Plan Subcommittee meeting. It was today, March 19th at 1 p.m. And here's the slide deck from their PowerPoint presentation. It has preliminary survey results. The Cape Cod Commission is updating its regional policy plan. They did a resident survey, and they did some focus groups. So here's the staff report to the Regional Policy Plans Subcommittee. They are starting to do public outreach and public meetings. I think the next thing, I don't know, Brian, I printed it out, but I don't know where it is. I want to see if I can find it real quick.
They sent me, I don't know, today.
Yeah, it was March 26th. I don't know if you can look it up, because I wanted to announce it to the public. I don't know if I'm going to be able to find it. Hold on. I don't think I'm going to be able to find it. So, down at all. So the Cape Cod Commission is updating its regional policy plan, and it's going to go quick.
Do you have that, what you're looking for?
Yes, yes. Can you see the date? So the Cape Cod Commission has sent out an email inviting the public to join them for the Regional Policy Plan Update public meetings. Okay, the first one is Wednesday, March 26th at 1 p.m. in person at the Cape Cod Commission Ocean Conference Room, 3225 Main Street in Barnstable. That's in person. There's also a virtual meeting on Friday, March 28th at 9 a.m. And you can go to www.capecodcommission.org/RPP/join. The passcode is join. The meeting ID is 895-8952-5562. That's 895-8952-5562. If you Google Cape Cod Commission or any search bar, Cape Cod Commissional Regional Policy Plan Update Public Meetings, you'll get that information and the link. Thank you, Michael. So this is,
If you guys want, I'll send it to you. if you
yes.
want.
Or, you can send it to Brian and he can send it out. So the regional policy plan is basically the rules and regulations that govern large developments in our community, and also offers planning guidance and advice from our regional planning commission. Each region in Massachusetts has a regional planning commission. I'm going to give these to Dale. You should give that to any tribal office you think would benefit. The things that are in this regional policy plan are the things that are going to be in our LCP, right?
Ask for that, all right.
The built community, it's the built community. There's three of them. The built community, the natural systems, and then like the people. Right, so anyways,
Or the three, and that's one,
the
yeah.
three big categories. So this is important for people to understand and participate in, because, for example, out of this regional policy plan springs the technical bulletins that require for a DRI to have 10% affordable housing. Right? When we had a project in front of us tonight that has to provide funds towards the traffic mitigation, those technical bulletins that spring out of this RPP, provide the mitigation for these larger developments. So it's important. And I hope that you can.
I'd like to call your attention to this residence survey. The blue is 2014, and the green, the big long green line, is 2025.
What they did.
And it shows how needy, how people want all this. This is it right here.
Yeah.
How they want all these
And
housing.
Yep, the resident survey, right? So what they did was they tried to keep the questions as close as possible to the survey that they issued in 2014. Remember we were doing that for a while?
Yep.
Right? You keep the same questions to see how attitudes have changed.
Big time.
And so, if you go one page back from that, they asked, what are the current and future challenges for the Cape? In 2014, 65% of the respondents chose as a priority, or a serious or moderate problem, affordable housing. 65% of respondents said affordable housing was a serious, moderate or serious problem. In 2025, that 65% went to 84%. That's a significant.
Nothing here on sea level rise or pond water quality.
So in 2014, they didn't ask the question about sea level rise or pond water
wasn't
quality.
the top
So
of the
that's a
issue.
new question in 2025. But sea level rise is seen as a serious or moderate problem for 76% of the respondents. And pond water quality, 74% of the respondents. So what they did, and you might be one of the residents that got a little postcard in the mail, hey, take this survey. They did this region-wide, and if you look at the survey results about who responded where, it really is kind of in line with our population. So for example, 20% of our population live in Barnstable, so I think it was like 18% of the people that responded were from Barnstable. About 7% of the population lives in Mashpee. About 7% of the respondents were from Mashpee. So they did a nice job, distributing the postcards equally to the towns. And the respondents, thank you very much, Mashpee residents who's responded. That's important for them to know. So so we have those dates that I announced. They can also come to the planning board if you'd like to make this presentation.
This is nice.
Okay, so I will ask them tomorrow to come to whatever meeting we can. All right? Okay, that's my report. Town planner.
Oh, yeah, great. I'll be brief. The first item I had down was just giving everybody an update on Knockabout, the Knockabout Brewery. If you all recall, back before I started, I believe it was on the December 18th, 2024 planning board meeting. Pete, who's the owner of Knockabout, came in to talk to the board both about parking concerns as well as runoff concerns. So after working closely with Pete and Drew from Conservation, we came up with kind of a two-step plan that we had asked Pete to move forward with that we thought was a fair balance between troubleshooting the issue as well as being economical for him. The first step was doing kind of short-term damage control, as you can call it, the land use equivalent of triage, and just stopping the bleeding, so to speak. Then, the idea is after the summertime and he can do some capital planning, he would have more of a long-term solution that may be a tad more costly. So what we decided upon for the short-term solution was that he would put in some riprap and some jute matting along both the entranceway as well as the exitway to stop the runoff that was going down into the pond.
Yep.
He locked up a contractor and had it installed, and Dennis and I went out with Drew this past Tuesday to see how it was holding up. As it turned out, the fates were aligned with us because it was the perfect day for it. It was sunny on Tuesday, and there had been a downpour on Monday, St. Patrick's Day. So it was nice to both not be wet while we were doing the site visit and also see that it held up very well in rain. There was no indication whatsoever of washout, sediment, debris, or anything. The way that they had set it up is that on the entrance, there's riprap on the right side, as well as jute matting then on the left side. And then on the exit, the opposite is the case. The riprap's on the left side and the jute matting is on the right side. So we think for the short term, that's gonna at least troubleshoot the runoff issue. Regarding parking, we thought it was best for him to address that as part of the larger comprehensive plan in the fall after the summer season, because he'll probably need to do a stormwater management plan, which can be costly. The only other outstanding issue would be the rhododendron, but I think we were thinking that could wait to the fall as well, because there are erosion control properties just based on, planting and the root systems of the rhododendron that may be involved in the overall
I
comprehensive
think we should
plan.
go over there every Friday at 4 o'clock.
And
To do a site visit?
Check it out.
He might not want me after this comment. So anyways, when you drive past the facility up on the hill, there's a storage container and a van, some type of RV
Okay.
that's there, and pallets.
Okay.
And
He mentioned when me and Tom went there, he was gonna get rid of one of them, and he was using another one for storage stuff, so. I don't know.
right, but so anyways, and not saying that I agree with what the town has done for the aesthetics of that site, right? There's a red metal barrier, there's a concrete building it blocks, as you're going down in the parking lot, that both blocks the beautiful view of the pond. That wasn't really, but anyways, but the storage up on that hill is not what I envisioned that site to be. When it came to us, they promised us they would keep it as natural as possible. And it's really a deterrent. That's one of the most significant spots in Mashpee. And I'm hoping when he comes and starts to spend some money on the site design and stuff like that, he addresses that. It's a real eyesore.
is there a place to move it?
I don't care, it's storage, it wasn't on the plans when they came to, they came to us.
Yeah.
And we gave him breaks on a lot of stuff, because he promised us, and remember he did the site visit?
Yeah.
right? He promised us he would keep it as natural as possible, because it is beautiful there.
Yeah.
So when you're going down to the pond and you look up and you see a cargo container, an RV, an old RV, and pallets just sitting there, it is not as natural, you know?
It's all
We're gonna have to, there's landscaping that was not adhered to because people were parking on the landscaping, the rhododendron that was supposed to. Look, I'm supportive of this company. I mean, we have been from day one. But again, those patio light things, those came up after we approved the plan. There was not supposed to be all those lights on all the poles.
There was no photometric done?
There probably is. It's definitely in violation of its photometric plan. Now, I know he had just opened. I'm sure those lights were expensive, you know, but we should take this opportunity to kind of bring it back. If he needs lights there, you know, let's be creative. And when, you know, as he's going through his capital plan, right? He's been there for a while. He should be upgrading those aesthetics as well.
Okay, so we'll go Thursday and Friday afternoon.
I won't be going Friday night. They will
We'll have them remove one pallet every Friday.
Yeah, I mean,
And then we'll stay for a beer.
All you have to do is.
You got anything else, Mary? Because we'll go Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Except the teenagers, the high school kids, they light those pallets on fire all the time in town.
But not there, and other places. Okay.
They do it on the highway too.
They're down with me and Mike. live.
Have you ever been to Hull?
Oh, yeah, I do a lot of.
Yeah, yeah, that's wild when they do their fire night. Anyways,
Fantastic Beach was great.
So
but
then-
thank you for working with them, and I'm sorry to do a rant, but.
No worries at all. And I think some of that stuff, you know, may be able to get resolved in the shorter term with just a phone call. But we did cut an informal deal with him that, you know, in the fall we'd revisit just because, you know, summer
Yep.
season's coming up.
And
so.
he has never promised the town anything that he hasn't come through.
No.
You know
Yeah,
what I
he's been
mean?
great.
He is great.
He's good for the town.
He's great for the town, you know, everybody enjoys it, and it brings people in, I'm telling you, it brings people into Mashpee. I go down, you and I go drive by there, you're there, I'm there, it's different cars, you know what I mean? I know it's bringing people into Mashpee, and it's important.
One of my reading papers, I go to the beach Sunday.
Oh, I love that beach, I love that pond.
All right, next.
So on Ancient Ways, Dennis, myself, the town manager, and Wendy Williams, who's taken a keen interest in Ancient Ways, or excuse me, the assistant town manager, Wayne Taylor, just had a meeting to talk about the issue of Ancient Ways, and we basically came up with kind of 3 to 4 categories that we wanted to look into. The first is something that Dennis and Tom had mentioned back in December, and then again at the January 15th planning board meeting, which is just the concern that the signs have come down in Willow Bend.
Yeah.
So I think what we're gonna do is, if Tom's gonna be willing to be generous of his time rather, Tom and Dennis, and I would love to join them, are just gonna go in there and put the signs back up. And I think that would be pretty cool. Obviously we would get permission from Willow Bend before actually doing it, but I talked to Jack McElhaney and he was, receptive to the idea. The second issue is there are a couple of gates, and I think we have a difference of opinion with Willow Bend as to whether or not the Ancient Ways and in which locations are pedestrian access only, or if they also include vehicular access. So it's something that we're going to try and iron out with them in greater detail. The third one is actually relates to Mitchell's Landing. There's a gate up there with a lock on it now, and apparently this has a long history where either prior owners or different owners, because 1 to 2 new units have been built on Mitchell's Landing pursuant to an older subdivision plan. But so either prior owners or different owners had in the past put up boulders there, which allowed for pedestrian traffic but not vehicular traffic, and the town spoke to them and they moved the boulders. Well, now in that same spot there's a gate. This goes out to a dock in like a boat landing area.
You know what that is? Simon's Narrow.
Oh, okay,
You go all the way down to the end,
okay,
and that's where New Seabury's entrance is,
yep,
and that's where the the land was. And years ago, the town had a big fight because they were blocking it off.
Yep,
They put the rocks there, we made them take it out, and now
Okay.
they got a gate there that
Came
says,
up with something different.
the gate says, if you wanna go down here, give us a call and we'll open the gate, like,
okay. You guys will take care of it.
yeah. We got,
Yeah, we're looking into it. We're looking into it. There's kind of a little bit of a deep dive on title history there, but we want to be well equipped when we have a intelligent conversation with whoever put up the gate.
Right,
and the lock.
and-
Apparently there's, yeah,
are
sorry.
you gonna hire that, remember we're gonna hire somebody to do the layout of where the actual HOAs went,
So
consultant or something?
that's the fourth issue. Thank you for bringing that up, Dennis, is, as a longer-term project or plan, we have various maps of ancient ways, and some of them have been moved and renamed. And I also understand that the tribe has a lot of great maps in their archives, and then there may even be some over in our town archives building that's not in the planning department purview. So as a longer-term project, what we'd love to do is come up with a comprehensive, updated overlay map of the ancient ways, and maybe even do something fancy with like modern technology where it's put over satellite imagery or, you know,
I,
modern
My
roadways.
other two, I was, maybe we get like some bronze signs
yep,
with the HOAs on them, like at the,
Yep.
where they start, you know, like one down there, New Sepa, where we just talked about.
Yep.
And there's some all over, so people can walk in the woods and say, hey, there's a road used to be here, and find it.
You're going to have to fabricate brand-new signs,
Can we get the money
or
for this?
do you
yes,
have them?
yes, I'll
For
say that.
this latter project or for
No,
the?
for the Willow Bend, where they've,
I don't know. I'm gonna talk to Tom and Dennis,
Yeah.
but we're gonna get some
Tom-
hammers and some
Tom
nails,
will-
and we're gonna make it
Every road in
happen.
there, so-
So I think that we should, you know, appoint Dennis, the planning board's rep, to the Ancient Way
Yeah,
project.
'cause
How
I'm
does that
ancient.
sound?
Nothing to do with your age.
Yeah,
motion to appoint Dennis Balzerini as planning board rep to the Ancient Way project in Willow Bend?
sorry.
Project in town.
In town, the entire Ancient
Okay, is there
Way.
somebody who will second that?
Oh, I'm okay with that.
Is that a second, Dale? Second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Rob, how do you vote?
Oh,
Great, thank you very much, sir. I believe that the Historical Commission would be a tremendous resource to you. They're working right now on, you know, on the memorials across the way, the monuments for people who served in more modern wars. They've done the ancient wars and now they're doing, but Richard DeSorga
He's
and
great.
Ava Costello, boy, if you get them on your team, you will
Yeah.
really benefit from that.
100%. I've actually I went to one of their meetings, and we talked about the various archives just for plans in
Yeah.
general. And I am gonna go to a follow-up meeting with them. I believe sometime. Ideally, I think it's gonna be sometime within the next month. So yeah, they were
Yeah.
both super informative.
So please keep this on the agenda.
Sure.
And once you get to a point where you say, oh, you know, we need money for the signs, or we
Yeah,
need
whatever.
trail improvement, or something, put it in application to the Community Preservation Committee. The next deadline for that is November 4th. It'll be early November, maybe October, for the next town meeting. So, yes, I do believe that's eligible. We have funded signs for the Historical
that's
Commission.
right.
I believe you can get, at least I recall, an Ancient Ways map in the archives.
We have several.
Oh, you've
We
got,
Yeah, the idea, that was that fourth category. The idea is to do an overlay of like all of
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
great.
Yeah, I've seen it. And when Tom was back, Tom Fodala was back helping us out in between town planners.
Yeah.
He found it. He found the electronic version
Yeah, it
of
was
at
in
least
a
one. Because it
specially
was,
labeled
because it's
folder.
in our local comprehensive plan from the 90s. It's in there. There's a whole, there's a whole section on that.
Oh, that's interesting. 'Cause
Yes.
I think the map he found was dated 1984, and our master plan from the 90s is dated 1998. So
I think there's sections in there that talks about ancient ways.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I gotta look at, I was trying to find my old,
It's still around. It's kind of the thing that you remember how we had land stewards for conservation? And they would go and look at conservation land and make sure nobody had dumped anything. And they recruited people who walked those woods anyways and started up a communications network. And it might be something to think about, starting up the land steward project, including the ancient ways. And when we're done with that, the town ways to water,
yeah.
right? That's the other thing that there hasn't been anybody really kind of like working on that for a while, and rocks are being placed and trails aren't getting clipped, you know what I mean? And they're overgrowing, and so,
Good idea.
yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
did a lot of trails in this town, me and Tom.
Right. And DNR did some work on that, and they are, the reason why they're concerned is part of our nitrogen control plan is to shellfish in these places.
Yeah, absolutely.
But some of them, the parking spaces that people used to use to park their car to go cohogging, they're kind of fading away. Rocks are being pushed in the way, or they're just, people aren't, trimming back the Rosa rugosa or whatever, so that we're losing those ways to water, so. That's the fun stuff. Okay. Conversations with the Executive Office of Housing and Livable Communities.
Yeah, I just had a chat with two representatives from there, and it's mostly about the HPP. They were kind enough to let me know that, they're actually dealing with quite a bit of applications now. I told them that I was hoping to shoot, although the more information I gather, I think my 45-day idea is very aggressive, but
We're gonna do it. We're gonna get the HPP done in 45 days.
I don't know.
Right?
But if there's got to be 30 days of public comment, I don't know if that's realistic.
Okay.
I
We'll
wanted
get
45
we'll get it to public comment in 45 days.
Oh no! Well, I wanted to public comments sooner than 45 days.
Oh.
let's say at the state in 60 days. Can we shoot for that?
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, which is still aggressive.
Yeah.
But that actually, the point of me putting that on as a bullet point is that either the 45 days or the 60 days, the sense I got from them is based on present applications. That would actually be good timing for them, which means that we may even get a quicker state approval on the HPP once it gets up to them, which would be good. I mean, they have 90 days to get back to us, but they do often get back to folks.
Hey, Ed, if you wanna sign off, you're good.
He's on mute. He says he wants to say something.
Okay.
Why don't we turn up your volume, Ed, because you went real quiet. We got you.
Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Yesterday, I got a call from Jacques Morin.
Yeah, I've got that on the agenda. We have to put that on the agenda for next time.
Okay. He is running for selectman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah.
He's been advised to clean up any other activities he has with the town, and I would certainly recommend you release the tripartite agreement. I thought the vote was already taken for that, and I thought we clarified that at the last hearing that Tom Faldala attended, that all the items that he was required to do have been addressed. But I'll just leave it in your capable hands to get it released.
So Ed, I got some correspondence from him, and I am going to put that on the agenda for our next meeting.
Okay, very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ed.
Right.
Good night, bye.
Turn that down to get rid of the echo.
Okay. So back to the town planner, other miscellaneous items.
That's it. I met with EOC this week. I had a productive conversation with them. They had a keen interest in our HPP. I hope they tuned in today to listen to the workshop. Mentioned a number of things like,
And if you
nitrogen
look at the
mitigation.
packet that I gave you that it's online, it's the public comments that was gathered during the last 30-day comment period, and there is a very clear letter from the EOC about what they expect from the HPP. And
Right.
we can safely say that this board is listening to them.
Yes, and I believe I characterized that to them in our meeting. They very much had a keen interest in that letter, and my understanding was much of our red lines to the HPP stemmed.
Not to say we won't tweak things if we miss something, but, okay, ready for board member committee reports? Cape Cod Commission, I already talked about. The Charter Review Committee did submit 2 articles to the Board of Selectmen for inclusion on the warrant. They are postponing those until next town meeting.
All right.
Okay. Community Preservation Committee, no meeting. Design Review,
No meeting.
Plan Review.
No meeting.
Environmental Oversight Committee.
We did meet, and Brian came and gave updates on the HPP, and he described it well, that we are, one, that we received their letter, or our letter, and that they are being adequately addressed, and hopefully they tuned into our workshop to see that. Elsewhere, the Mashpee Freshwater Committee, it's went before the select board, so it's all set up, and they've received a number of letters of interest from citizens in town, and we'd be looking to add a tribal member to this committee as well, and I'll work to advertise that in our tribal newsletter called the Mitark. The Ashumet Pond alum treatment agreement with SMAS is signed, so it's for phase 1. This is the dosing portion. Phase 2 could be a little unclear with how the government, the budgets are working now. And the town's is going to be in need of volunteers for water quality testing this summer in ponds, so
How do people get involved with that, Dale?
they're going to want to reach out to, I'd say, Ashley in the water quality department, and we'll go from there.
And how about the herring count?
The herring count that's run by APCC, so.
Okay. I got something from
Yeah,
the
so-
Conservation Department here.
Yeah, so, well, they work with the Conservation Department, and I would recommend reaching out to the Conservation Department for, if you'd like to volunteer.
So
to
you
be
go
a
down
counter.
you pick a herring run of your choice, and you go down a couple of times a week, couple of times a day, you know?
Yeah, it's really kind of how much you can handle. I believe it's 10 minutes you count. You count the fish as they pass a certain threshold, and
They have a clicker.
yep, all the equipment's at the site, in like a lockbox, and you have the code, you count for 10 minutes. The next volunteer comes, and
I saw an osprey circling
yeah,
today, so guess what?
Be a lot of fish.
Herring are coming. They're looking. They're hungry. They're back.
yeah, herring are in Middleborough already.
Okay. That's exciting because I've done it, early morning, and when
Yeah.
it's really quiet and they're running, you can actually hear them coming up the river.
Oh, yeah.
That's cool.
You can, and that's the run. It's fascinating.
And then the seagulls hang down there.
And then the seagulls.
Right.
I remember one time I saw a juvenile osprey dive into the ladder, and he came out and he was like, "Whoa!" He was all like freaked out. He'll never do that again.
Seagulls hang across the street.
Yeah.
They stop what's coming in.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Historic District Commission.
No meetings.
No meeting. Anything from Rob before we sign off?
The volume's down.
Okay.
He said no.
All right. I'll take a motion to adjourn.
So be.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Bye.
Aye.